the session in next 2 minutes. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Are we supposed to start?
We would start in another 2 minutes.
Okay. Okay.
I request the audience to kindly settle down. Those who are sitting in the back rows, can you please move ahead to the front? Good afternoon. We now begin with the industry sessions, beginning with the food processing and agriculture industry. Our speakers in this session are Mr. Anand Chodia, who would be joining us online, and Mr. Rohan Ursal, Director, Purandare Highlands, who's here. May I invite him on stage, please? May I request Mr. Anand Chodia to start his presentation?
Um, uh, Thank you everyone and welcome to this event. मी सगळ्यांबरोबर मराठीमध्ये बोलू इच्छितो ऑन द टॉपिक वी आर शेअरिंग टुडे. रोहनजी नमस्ते तुम्हाला पण. मी प्रेझेंटेशन देत आहे ज्यामध्ये मी पुणे आणि पुण्याच्या आजूबाजूला ॲग्री आणि फूड इंडस्ट्रीमध्ये काय काय पोटेन्शियल आहे, काय काय स्कोप आहे आणि काय काय इंडस्ट्रीज ऑलरेडी चांगलं काम करत ग्रोथ होत आहे याचा मी एक आढावा देणार आहे. येणाऱ्या काळामध्ये सरकारचे जे काही धोरण योजना फूड आणि ॲग्री इंडस्ट्रीसाठी खूप मोठ्या प्रमाणावर आहेत, राईट फ्रॉम कोल्ड स्टोरेज टू मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फूड प्रोसेसिंग, म्हणजे ॲग्रिकल्चर आणि फूड मिनिस्ट्री दोघांचे अनेक योजनांच्या माध्यमातून सहकार्य या इंडस्ट्रीसाठी केलं जात आहे. आणि पुणे रिजन इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट लिडिंग आणि खूप जास्त पोटेन्शियल असलेलं रिजन आपलं आहे. आणि त्याचं कारण मेनली आपल्याकडे असलेलं हवामान, रॉ मटेरियलची अवेलेबिलिटी आणि मार्केट प्लेस जवळ असलेल्या सर्व, त्याच्यामुळे पुण्यामध्ये फूड इंडस्ट्री गेल्या काही वर्षांमध्ये 25 वर्षांमध्ये खूपच मोठ्या प्रमाणावर वाढलेल्या आहेत. बरं, मोठ्या MNCs, SMEs, MSMEs व्यतिरिक्त स्टार्टअप्स आणि बचत गटांद्वारे सुद्धा अनेक फूड व्यवसाय सुरू झालेले आहेत आणि फूड बिझनेसेस ते ग्रो होत आहेत चांगल्या पद्धतीने. ॲज अ MCCIA चेअरमन फॉर फूड इंडस्ट्री कमिटी अँड ॲज वन ऑफ द फूड इंडस्ट्री पर्सन, चेंबरच्या ज्या ऍक्टिव्हिटीज चालू आहेत फूड इंडस्ट्री एंटरप्रेनर्ससाठी किंवा ज्यांना नव्याने हा व्यवसाय सुरू करायचा आहे त्यांच्यासाठी, आपण इथे अनेक प्रकारचे लर्निंग आणि अवेअरनेस सेशन्स घेतो, बायर सेलर्स मीट घेतो. त्यानंतर ॲग्री एक्सपोर्ट एक्सलन्स सेंटर हे ॲग्रिकल्चर कमिटीच्या अंडर नाबार्डनी सपोर्ट करून सुरू केलेलं चेंबरमध्ये एक सेंटर आहे जे शेतकऱ्यांना त्यांचा माल एक्सपोर्ट करण्यासाठी खूप मोठ्या प्रमाणावर मदत करत आहे. त्यानंतर स्टडी टूर्स आपण नेतो, इंडस्ट्री व्हिजिट्स आपण अरेंज करतो. वर्ल्ड मिलेट समिटचा भारताचा कर्टन रेझरचा इव्हेंट मागच्या वर्षी इथे मोठ्या प्रमाणात झाला होता. त्याच्या आधी नॅशनल कोल्ड चेन समिटचा इव्हेंट आपण चेंबरमध्ये घेतलेला आणि ह्या वर्षी असाच नॅशनल इव्हेंट हा क्वालिटी 4.0 या सब्जेक्टवर आपण घेतोय, कारण भारतातून आणि पुणे रिजन मधून स्पेशली एक्सपोर्टचं प्रमाण डे बाय डे खूप वाढत चाललेलं आहे आणि एक्सपोर्ट पोटेन्शियल इंडियन गुड्सचं आता वाढलेलं आहे. त्यामुळे क्वालिटी नॉर्म्स आणि त्यामध्ये मेनली ट्रेसेबिलिटी रॉ मटेरियलची, फिनिश गुड्सची ही खूप क्रिटिकल होते जेव्हा आपण बाहेरच्या देशांमध्ये माल एक्सपोर्ट करतो. त्याच्यावर स्ट्रेस देऊन ही क्वालिटी समिट 4.0 ऑगस्ट महिन्यामध्ये अरेंज करण्यात येत आहे. त्याला सुद्धा सगळ्यांनी यावं हे माझं तुम्हाला सगळ्यांना आमंत्रण आहे त्या समिटसाठीचं. आता मी क्विकली शेअर करतोय स्लाइड्स आणि त्या स्लाइड्स आपण बघूया. So see, Pune otherwise also it's a very big city altogether. So second largest city of Maharashtra. इकडे आता इंडस्ट्री सेक्टर बाकी पण इम्पॉर्टंट आहेत, IT सेक्टर, ऑटोमोबाईल सेक्टर, बायोटेक्नॉलॉजी किंवा ऍग्रिकल्चर, ह्या सगळ्या सेक्टरचा उपयोग हा आपल्या फूड प्रोसेसिंग साठी होतो. फॉर एक्झाम्पल फूड पॅकेजिंग मशिनरी मॅन्युफॅक्चरर पुण्याच्या आजूबाजूला बऱ्याच इंडस्ट्रीज आहेत. पॅकेजिंग टेक्नॉलॉजी ही सगळ्यात क्रिटिकल टेक्नॉलॉजी आहे जेव्हा तुम्ही फूडमध्ये व्हॅल्यू ऍडिशन करता आणि त्यामुळे ह्या टेक्नॉलॉजीजचा IT आपल्या ज्या ERP सिस्टीम्स, रिपोर्टिंग सिस्टीम्स, परचेस पासून सेल पर्यंतच्या फूड इंडस्ट्रीला लागणाऱ्या सिस्टीम याचं मुबलक प्रमाणात अवेलेबिलिटी विविध मॉड्यूल्सची पुण्याच्या आजूबाजूच्याच सेक्टरमध्ये आपल्याला अवेलेबल आहे. त्यानंतर आता रिव्होल्युशन 4.0 रोबोटिक्स आणि सेन्सर्स आम्ही आमच्या इंडस्ट्रीमध्ये सुद्धा खूप वापरतोय आणि त्याचा कल हा सगळ्या फूड इंडस्ट्रीमध्ये कन्व्हेअर बेल्ट पासून मटेरियल हँडलिंग सिस्टीम पासून वापरायची सुरुवात झालेली आहे. तो सगळा सप्लाय चेन पुण्याच्या आजूबाजूलाच असल्यामुळे फूड इंडस्ट्रीसाठी अतिशय नरिशिंग प्लेस म्हणजे पुणे ही आहे असं मला खूप स्ट्रॉंगली वाटतं. आणि फूड इंडस्ट्री ज्यांना कोणाला ऍग्रीकल्चर बेस्ड फूड इंडस्ट्रीमध्ये इन्व्हेस्टमेंट करायचे आहेत, पुणे इज वन ऑफ द आयडियल प्लेस. त्यानंतर व्हेरी नॅचरली आपल्याला ऍग्रीकल्चरल बेस हा रॉ मटेरियलचा असल्यामुळे ऍग्री युनिव्हर्सिटीज किंवा ICAR सारख्या नॅशनल संस्था पुण्यामध्ये आहेत. एक ग्रेप्सवर रिसर्च करते आहे, एक ओनियन गार्लिकवर रिसर्च करते, शुगरसाठी रिसर्च इन्स्टिट्यूट पुण्यामध्ये आहे. त्या व्यतिरिक्त कृषी विद्यापीठ पुणे आणि पुण्याच्या आजूबाजूला आहेत. पुण्यामध्ये 3 कॉलेजेस आहेत आता जे फूड सायन्स आणि टेक्नॉलॉजीचा कोर्स ऑफर करत आहेत. सो लर्न मॅन पॉवर सप्लाय सुद्धा स्किल्ड हा भरपूर अवेलेबल पुण्यासारख्या सिटीमध्ये होतो, जे अनेकदा फूड इंडस्ट्रीला स्टार्टअप असतील किंवा नवे बिझनेसेस आहेत तेव्हा ह्या सगळ्या अडचणी येतात रिसर्च डेव्हलपमेंटमध्ये, क्वालिटी कंट्रोल लॅब सेटअप करण्यामुळे मध्ये. तर ह्या सगळ्या अडचणी पुण्यासारख्या सिटीत अजिबात येत नाहीत. नेक्स्ट, रॉ मटेरियल सोर्स जसं म्हणलं की हा खूपच क्रिटिकल आस्पेक्ट असतो आणि रोहन त्यांची केस स्टडी सांगेल. तो पण असोसिएटेड खूप वर्ष आहे चेंबरशी, की कसं रॉ मटेरियलवर फोकस काम करून व्हॅल्यू ऍडेड प्रोडक्ट्स त्यांच्या पण कंपनीनी केले. अँड देर इज अ ग्रेट लॉजिकल एक्सटेंट टू फूड इंडस्ट्री की रॉ मटेरियल मिळतंय तर प्रोसेसिंगचा नक्कीच विचार करा. आणि भारत इटसेल्फ आपलं स्वतःची लोकल बाजारपेठ ही खूप मोठी बाजारपेठ आहे अनेक व्हॅल्यू ऍडेड प्रोडक्ट्सला, आणि चांगला डिमांड डे बाय डे पॅक्ड प्रोडक्ट्सला वाढत चालला असल्यामुळे आपल्याला मार्केट पण जवळ आहे. सो रॉ मटेरियल पण जवळ आहे आणि कन्झ्युमर मार्केट पण पुण्यासारख्या याला जवळ आहे. मिलेट फॉर एक्झाम्पल नवी जी खूप ट्रेंडिंग इंडस्ट्री आहे आणि ग्रोथ आहे त्या सेक्टरमध्ये. मिलेट्सच्या प्रॉडक्टचे अनेक स्टार्टअप पुण्याच्या अराउंड आहेत. आम्ही अनेक वर्ष मसाले, लोणची, पापड, चटण्या बनवतो आणि त्याचे मोस्ट ऑफ द रॉ मटेरियल जिंजर, गार्लिक, ओनियन, कोरिएंडर, रॉ मँगो हे सगळं आमचं पुण्याच्या अराउंड एरियामधूनच सोर्सिंग मॅक्सिमम केलं जातं. व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट पॉइंट, ओनियन मार्केट राजगुरुनगर वर्ल्ड लार्जेस्ट मार्केट, ओनियनचं एवढं मोठं मार्केट आहे. सो कितीतरी प्रमाणात ओनियन प्रोसेसिंग पण पुण्यातून होतं. एक्सपोर्ट्स ओनियनचे पुण्यातून खूप मोठ्या प्रमाणावर होतात. सो सगळ्याच साठी नाशिक ते मावळचा अख्खा बेल्ट हा व्हेजिटेबल्ससाठी अतिशय पूरक एरिया आहे. सो तिथून व्हेजिटेबल्स आता एक्झॉटिक व्हेजिटेबल्स जे सप्लाय फॉर हॉटेल्स, इंडस्ट्रीज, B2B सप्लायलाही लागतात. खूप मोठं त्याचं आता ग्रोथ सेंटर पुणे अँड अराउंड एरिया हा झालेला आहे. नाशिक, मावळ हा सगळा एरिया. सो प्रोसेसिंग इंडस्ट्री ही पुण्याच्या अराउंड असणं ऑलवेज सोयीस्कर ठरतं. नेक्स्ट, सो काय काय प्रोसेसिंग आता पुणे आणि पुण्याच्या अराउंड कोस्टल एरियामध्ये मोर फिशरीज, मीट पोल्ट्रीचे वन ऑफ द लार्जेस्ट एशियाच्या प्लांट्स पुण्यामध्ये आहेत. बेकरी, कन्फेक्शनरीचे खूप मेजर ग्रोथ पुणे सेक्टरमध्ये झालेली आहे. डेअरी इज ऑल अराउंड पुण्याच्या सेंटरला किंवा ऑलमोस्ट ऑल रुरल एरियामध्ये पुण्याच्या जवळ डेअरी कलेक्शन सेंटर्स, प्रोसेसिंग सेंटर्स मॅसिव्ह प्रमाणात ग्रोथ त्याची होत चाललेली आहे. नव्या ट्रेंड्स मध्ये हेल्थ फूड्स आणि फंक्शनल फूड्स यासारख्या न्यू ट्रेंड सेटर पुणे युथ असलेलं मार्केट असल्यामुळे हे ट्रेंड सेटिंग खूप होत चाललेलं आहे. आणि ट्रेडिशनली आपण फ्रुट्स, व्हेजिटेबल्स, जॅम्स, फ्रोझन फूड्स, पिकल्स, केचप, रेडी टू ईट यासारख्या अनेको SMEs, MSMEs पुण्याच्या अराउंड तुम्ही बघू शकता की खूप सेटल झालेल्या आहेत आणि दे आर ग्रोईंग रॅपिडली. In wine sector, which is also part of food industry. So you all know ki near Pune, Nasik region मध्येच almost a large setup of wine manufacturing develop झालेला आहे. Point to tell is processing च्या अनेक टेक्नॉलॉजीज पासून रॉ मटेरियल्स पासून बाजारपेठेपर्यंत सर्व लिंकेज हे पुण्याच्या आजूबाजूला चांगल्या प्रमाणात आहे. पोर्ट पुण्याच्या जवळ असल्यामुळे एक्सपोर्ट्सला पण कन्व्हिनियन्स चांगला पुण्यातून मिळतो. आता दुबईमध्ये 30 जणांचा ग्रुप MCCIA गल्फ फूड साठी घेऊन गेला होता आणि बायर सेलर जेव्हा मीट झाल्या तेव्हा पोर्ट बेनिफिट हा खूप मोठा एक पॉइंट डिस्कस त्यामध्ये पण झाला होता. सो इन ओव्हरऑल हे पाहिलं तर इट्स अ व्हेरी अगेन crucial city or area for food and other industries to grow. Next. So here are some prominent food brands. So what I am म्हणजे जे मी सांगतोय त्याला पूरक हा डेटा आहे थोडक्यात, की किती सारे फूड ब्रँड्स ऑलरेडी पुण्यामध्येच मॅन्युफॅक्चरर आहेत, पुण्याच्या आजूबाजूलाच त्यांचे मॅन्युफॅक्चरिंग सेटअप्स आहेत. These are all the domestic brands you can see here. की why they are growing and they are there for years. कारण की it is a sustainable एक एन्व्हायरमेंट मिळत आहे पुण्यामध्ये काम करायला, ग्रोथ मिळत आहे. पुण्याचं इटसेल्फ साइज ऑफ सिटी इटसेल्फ इज ग्रोइंग. So Pune as a domestic market is becoming very big and also nearby areas. Next. आणि ह्या मल्टीनॅशनल कंपनीज आहेत ज्या पुण्याच्या इर्द गिर्द ज्यांचे सेटअप्स आता झालेले आहेत. व्हेरी बिग इंडस्ट्रीज, व्हेरी वन ऑफ द लार्जेस्ट इंडस्ट्रीज इन वर्ल्ड फूडच्या या आहेत आणि त्यांचे मॅसिव्ह सेटअप्स पुण्याच्या आजूबाजूला तयार झालेले आहेत बिकॉज ऑफ ऑल द फॅक्टर्स विच आय जस्ट शेअर्ड. सो नेक्स्ट. In conclusion, I want to tell one thing, that MCCIA will keep playing a very pivotal role for agri and food industry. ला जे काही हँड होल्डिंग हवं आहे पुण्याच्या अराउंड सेटअप करायला, त्या सगळ्यासाठी वी विल डेफिनेटली हेल्प ॲट लार्ज टू ऑल इंडस्ट्रीज. यू कॅन विजिट अस अगेन. एनीबडी वॉन्ट टू पर्सनली कम अँड मीट हडपसर MCCIA च्या कॅम्पस मध्ये किंवा सेनापती बापट रोडला वी कॅन प्लॅन अँड मीट देअर अँड डिस्कस अँड ट्राय अँड stall and do as much as hand holding as we can for food and agri businesses. Secondly, very important, I want to convey my heartfelt apologies की मी तिथे Mccia आज नाहीये, मी नागपुरामध्ये आहे काही कामामुळे. सो त्यासाठी खूप खूप अपॉलॉजीज, क्षमा मागतो. पण नक्कीच लवकरात लवकर येऊन फर्दर डिस्कशन्स करायला आवडतील. काही स्पेसिफिक प्रश्न असतील तर त्याची उत्तरं मी देऊ इच्छितो.
आनंद सर, एखादा प्रश्न घेऊ शकतो आपण?
नक्कीच नक्कीच.
1-2-3 मिनिटं आहेत आपल्याला?
हो हो हो.
ओके ओके ओके. सो एक इथे ऑडियन्समध्ये काही स्टार्टअप्स आहेत किंवा महिला उद्योजक आहेत की जे फूड प्रोसेसिंगमध्ये सुरुवात केलेली आहे.
ओके.
आपला आता कालच महिला उद्योजकांचा पण मेळावा झाला काल. त्याच्यामध्ये देखील मिलेट्समध्ये किंवा स्नॅक फूडमध्ये किंवा इतर काही याच्यामध्ये काम करणारे बरेच येतात आपल्याकडे, तुम्हालाही कल्पना आहे. तर त्यांच्याकरता काही असा सल्ला द्याल की कशा पद्धतीने प्रमोट करायला हवं, कशा पद्धतीने स्ट्रक्चरिंग करायला हवं, पर्टिक्युलरली रेग्युलेटरी आस्पेक्ट्स आणि मोर टू डू विथ फायनान्शियल मॅनेजमेंट आणि टेक्नॉलॉजी अडॉप्शन किंवा मार्केट असेसमेंट म्हणा किंवा इव्हन मार्केट रीच असं.
मार्केट रीच साठीच गल्फ फूड एक हा अटेम्प्ट होता. काही इंडस्ट्रीज आमच्याकडे पोहोचल्या होत्या ज्यांना एक्सपोर्ट करण्यामध्ये खूप इंटरेस्ट होता. सो आपण एक स्टडी टूर केलेली, तिथली एक इंडस्ट्री व्हिजिट, तिथल्या 3 मार्केटची व्हिजिट, गल्फ फूड प्रदर्शनाची व्हिजिट आणि ऍक्च्युअल 7-8 बायर सेलर मीटिंग पण आपण तिथे आपल्या पुण्यातल्या एंटरप्रेनर्सच्या लावून दिल्या होत्या. त्या व्यतिरिक्त आमच्यासाठी एक उदाहरणार्थ सांगतोय की प्रदर्शनांमध्ये भाग घेणं हा खूप मोठा ब्रेक थ्रू असतो. तिथे कॉन्फिडन्स येतो एंटरप्रेनरला की आपला माल आवडतोय का कस्टमरला, आपल्या मालाला काही डिमांड क्रिएट होतीये का, आपलं प्राइसिंग आणि पॅकेजिंग लोकांना बरोबर वाटतंय का. हा डेफिनेटली एक कॉन्फिडन्स येतो आणि आमची सुरुवात सुद्धा तशाच एका एफर्टनी, हंबल एफर्टनी झालेली आहे. पुण्याच्या चेंबरच्या विमेन एक्सलन्स सेंटर थ्रू सुद्धा आपण काही ऍक्टिव्हिटीज आणि प्रमोशन करू शकतो. आणि यापुढे MCCIAचा एक एफर्ट आमची अशी चाललेली आहे की एक स्पेशल काउंटर वेगवेगळ्या प्रदर्शनांमध्ये, आहार असेल किंवा इंडियामध्ये अनेक इंडियातली डोमेस्टिक प्रदर्शनं जी होत आहेत तिथे एक काउंटर स्पेशल MCCIच्या मेंबर्ससाठी, फूड इंडस्ट्रीसाठी, प्रमोशनसाठी आम्ही करण्याचा प्रयत्न इथून पुढे करणार आहोत. सो तो थोडा स्वस्त पण पडेल स्टार्टअपला मिळवण्यासाठी आणि पटकन त्यांना ती प्लेसमेंट पण तिथे मिळेल. सो वी आर ट्राइंग टू अचीव दिस फॉर देम. लीगल जितके लीगल, लेबल रिलेटेड, ब्रँड रिलेटेड, IP रिलेटेड जे काही इश्यूज कोणाला येत आहेत तर प्लीज डू प्लॅन अ मीटिंग विथ अस अँड आम्ही तुम्हाला अनेक वेगवेगळ्या चांगल्या लोकांशी जोडून देऊ. यू कॅन सिलेक्ट समबडी फ्रॉम दॅट टू सॉल्व्ह युअर लीगल, लेबल रिलेटेड अँड IP रिलेटेड प्रॉब्लेम्स डेफिनेटली. आणि एक सेशन IP इंटलेक्च्युअल प्रॉपर्टी म्हणजे ब्रँड रजिस्ट्रेशन रिगार्डिंग किंवा पेटंट रिगार्डिंग आपण आता लवकरच फूड आणि ॲग्री इंडस्ट्रीचं घेणार आहे दिवाण सरांबरोबर. त्याची पण अनाउन्समेंट लवकरच केली जाईल. थँक्यू.
Thank you, Anand sir, for giving us a glimpse of the opportunities in the food and food processing industry in Pune district. Thank you very much. I now invite Mr. Rohan Ursal, Director, Purandar Highlands, to make his presentation.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. सर्वप्रथम आय थँक MCCI आणि डिस्ट्रिक्ट इन्व्हेस्टर्स समिट की तुम्ही आम्हाला आज ऑपॉर्च्युनिटी दिली एक अशा मंचावर येण्यासाठी. पुरंदर हायलँड्स फार्मर प्रोड्युसर कंपनी ह्याची स्थापना 2014मध्ये झाली होती. एक हा उद्देश घेऊन आम्ही उतरलो होतो की पुरंदरचं अंजीर हे बऱ्यापैकी लोकांना माहिती असेल. पुरंदरचं अंजीर आणि सीताफळ हे नावलौकिक आहे, पण त्याचं नावलौकिक असायचं तर ते फक्त बोललं जायचं, पण मार्केटमध्ये त्याचं कन्व्हर्जन किंवा शेतकऱ्याकडे त्याचं कन्व्हर्जन एकंदरीत आपल्याला बघायला मिळायचं नाही. आणि 2014 तेच वर्ष होतं की ज्यावेळेला माझं MBA चालू होतं आणि मी फ्रूट लॉजिस्टिका बर्लिन हे एक जगातलं बऱ्यापैकी मोठं एक्झिबिशन आहे आणि तिथं मला जाण्याचा संधी मिळाली. आणि त्या एक्झिबिशनमध्ये गेल्यावर मी जेव्हा बघितलं की जगभरातले शेतकरी परफेक्टली एकदम सुटाबुटात आलेले असतात आणि ते त्यांचं प्रोड्यूस खूप प्राऊडली सेल करतात आणि नुसतं प्रोड्यूस सेल नाही करत तर एकदम हायली पेरिशेबल फ्रूट्सही जगाच्या कानाकोपऱ्यात एक्सपोर्ट होतात. तर तसं जर जगात घडत असेल तर आपण तर कृषीप्रधान देश आहोत आणि ही गोष्ट भारतात आणि माझ्या तालुक्यात का नाही घडावी. आणि तिथून एक इन्स्पिरेशन घेऊन पुरंदर हायलँड्स कंपनी मी स्थापन केली. इनिशियली माझे 2 मेंबर्स होते, ते माझ्या गावातले, शेजारच्या गावातले काही वरिष्ठ शेतकरी होते की जे फॉरवर्ड थिंकिंग करणारे आहेत. आणि आजच्या तारखेला जर बघितलं तर आमचे 13 डिरेक्टर्स आहेत कंपनीत आणि प्लांटेशन्सपासून म्हणजे लागवड कशी करावी, रोपं कशी निवडावी ते अप टू ब्रेड स्प्रेड्स, एक्सपोर्ट्स, फूड प्रोसेसिंग हे कंप्लीट एंड टू एंड चेन आम्ही आज तयार केलेली आहे. पुरंदर हायलँड्स परत एक बूटस्ट्रॅप कंपनी आहे. इनिशियल मला आठवतं आहे आजही अतुलजी कडलक आमचे एक डिरेक्टर आहेत की ज्यांची अंजीर सीताफळाची शेती आहे, पण ते MSc मायक्रोबायोलॉजिस्ट आहेत. आणि पहिल्या दिवशी आमचं कॉन्ट्रीब्युशन जे होतं ते हार्डली एक 5-5 हजार रुपये काढून आम्ही ही कंपनी चालू केली. आज आम्ही बऱ्यापैकी खूप चांगला टर्नओव्हर करतो. आज भारतातून फ्रेश अंजीर एक्सपोर्ट करणारी एकमेव कंपनी पुरंदर हायलँड्स ठरलेली आहे. त्याच्यानंतर थँक्यू. रिसेंटली आमचे काही प्रोडक्ट्स जे लॉन्च झालेत प्रोसेसिंगमध्ये, एस्पेशली फिग ज्यूस ज्यासाठी आमचा प्रोव्हिजनल पेटंटही झाला आहे. सो दॅट इज द वर्ल्ड्स फर्स्ट रेडी टू ड्रिंक फिग ज्यूस जो आम्ही लॉन्च केला आहे. सो असे इनोव्हेशनकडे आम्ही घडत गेलो. आता इनोव्हेशनकडे जाण्याचं कारण एवढंच होतं की जे फळं आम्ही ज्याच्यात डील करतो ते हायली पेरिशेबल फ्रूट्स आहेत. ते फ्रेशमध्ये बऱ्यापैकी काही मार्केट्समध्ये जाऊ शकतात, पण त्याला बाकीच्या जगापर्यंत पोहोचवायचं असेल तर त्याला काही ॲक्टिव्हिटी करून किंवा त्याच्यावर फर्दर व्हॅल्यू ॲडिशन करूनच जावं लागतं. सो अशा पद्धतीने आम्ही पुरंदर हायलँड्स कंपनी आजही चालवतोय. त्याच्यात मी जसं म्हटलं की एक विजन जसं मी आपल्याला सांगेल की विजन आमची 2014-15 साली जेव्हा मी स्थापन केली कंपनी, तर एक उद्देश आमचा हाच होता की जे स्मॉल होल्डर फार्मर्स आहेत, उदाहरणार्थ पुरंदरमध्ये जर आपण शेतकरी बघितले तर ते अर्धा एकर, 1 एकर, 1.5 एकर असं ॲव्हरेज क्षेत्र असतं. पण एक स्मॉल होल्डर फार्मर्स जगाच्या कानाकोपऱ्यात कसं पोचू शकतात आणि आपण आपला इम्पॅक्ट कसा जाणून देऊ शकतो आणि हे एक ॲसोसिएशन होऊन कसं घडू शकतं, हे आम्हाला देशासमोर आज एक मॉडेल तयार करायचं आहे जे आम्ही देशासमोर आज मांडतोय. आणि त्याच्यात बऱ्यापैकी आम्ही स्टेप बाय स्टेप म्हणू पण सक्सेसफुल आता पुरंदर हायलँड्स होती आहे. काही हायलाईट्स मी जसं म्हणलं की आमची पहिली फार्मर प्रोड्युसर कंपनी ठरली की ज्यांनी एक्सपोर्ट चालू केलं. सुपरफिक्स हा पहिला ब्रँड आहे पुरंदर अंजिराचा जो आम्ही लॉन्च केला, जो आज देशात जवळपास 7 राज्यांमध्ये अवेलेबल असतो. त्याच्यानंतर फर्स्ट फिक्स स्प्रेड, फर्स्ट फिक्स ज्यूस. त्याच्यानंतर आमचे एक पार्टनर्स आहेत हॅम्बर्गमध्ये. सो जर्मनीमध्ये एक आमचे पार्टनर्स असतात की ज्यांच्याबरोबर आम्ही एक्सपोर्ट टायअप केलेलं आहे. जॉईंटली आम्ही कोलॅबोरेशन करून फ्रेश फिक्स एक्सपोर्ट करतो त्यांच्याबरोबर. आणि अशा पद्धतीने इव्हन मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कॉमर्स ऑनरेबल पियुष गोयलजींनी पण आमची एक न्यूज रिट्वीट केली होती फायनान्शियल एक्सप्रेसमधली, विच इज मेन्शन इन अ स्मॉल वे. पण त्यांनी एक लिहिलं होतं की दिस इज व्हॉट हॅपन्स वेन यू थिंक बिग. आणि दॅट वॉज द बिगेस्ट टर्न अराउंड फॉर अ FPC लाईक अस. कारण की आम्हाला वाटायचं की ठीक आहे आपण अंजीर एक्सपोर्ट केले, आम्ही आमच्या पुढच्या कन्साइनमेंटच्या तयारीत लागलो होतो. पण आपण म्हणू की बऱ्यापैकी प्रोॲक्टिव्हली गव्हर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडियानी त्याची दखल घेतली आणि त्यांच्या रेकॉर्ड्सप्रमाणे इट वॉज द फर्स्ट कंपनी हू डिड द एक्सपोर्ट्स अँड दे ऑल्सो ॲप्रिशिएटेड इट. सो ऑब्वियसली अशा काही मंचांवर आल्यामुळे आम्हाला त्याचा फायदा होतो, आम्हाला त्याची प्रसिद्धी मिळते अँड दॅट्स वॉट इज हेल्पिंग अस मेक आवर ब्रँड फर्दर. एक जॉग्राफी थोडं ज्यांना पुरंदरची माहिती नसेल तर हाऊ स्ट्रॅटेजिक इट इज लोकेटेड आणि हाऊ वी हॅव डिराईव्ड आवर नेम. सो पुरंदर ऑब्वियसली आमचा रिजन जो आहे आणि हायलँड्स जे आमच्या कंपनीच्या नावात आलं की इट इज सिच्युएटेड ऑन अ हाईट. आणि ग्लोबल मार्केट्समध्ये युजली हायलँड्स एनिथिंग विच इज ग्रोन ऑन अ हाईट इज परसिड ऑफ अ व्हेरी गुड क्वालिटी. आणि त्या ह्यानी आमचं पुरंदर हायलँड्स या पद्धतीने आमचं नाव तयार झालं कंपनीचं. सो चॅलेंजेस ऑब्वियसली इथं येण्याचा मेन मुद्दा तोच होता की एक स्टार्टअप म्हणून, एक FPC म्हणून आणि एक बूटस्ट्रॅप FPC म्हणून ऑब्वियसली चॅलेंजेस हे बिझनेसेसमध्ये डे इन डे आऊट असतात. बट ॲज अ FPC म्हणून आज आम्ही बोलायचं झालं तर बऱ्याचदा FPC कल्चरमध्ये आता इन्व्हेस्टमेंट्स आम्ही आजपर्यंत घेतल्या नव्हत्या, कारण की एक आमचं पहिल्यापासून दूरदृष्टी अशी होती की फार्मिंग करत असताना आमचे शेतकरी एंटरप्रेनरशिप पण शिकले पाहिजे, बिझनेस पॉलिसी शिकले पाहिजे आणि बिझनेस करत असताना पॉझिटिव्ह नेगेटिव्ह अप्स अँड डाऊन्स हे सहन करायची शक्ती तयार झाली पाहिजे शेतकऱ्यांमध्ये पण. आणि त्या अनुषंगाने आमची ही पुरंदर हायलँड्स काम करते. त्यामुळे इन्व्हेस्टमेंट्स आजपर्यंत आम्ही एकही घेतली नाही. त्याचं कारण हेच होतं की जेवढ्या आम्ही डाऊनफॉल्स पाहिले त्याच्यातनं आम्ही जेव्हा काही कमवलं आहे, जेव्हा आम्ही इनोव्हेशन केलं आहे, जेव्हा आम्ही जगाच्या कानाकोपऱ्यात पोचलो आहे, तर तो एक वेगळा कॉन्फिडन्स होतो आणि एक तो सस्टेनेबल कॉन्फिडन्स राहू शकतो, एक तो प्रोलॉंग कॉन्फिडन्स राहतो आमच्या शेतकऱ्यांमध्ये. आणि त्या अनुषंगाने आम्ही आजपर्यंत काम करत आलेलो आहे. एक्झिस्टिंग प्रोडक्ट लाईन जी आहे आमची दॅट इज जामुन स्प्रेड, सुपरफिक्स स्प्रेड, रेड गॉवा स्प्रेड, एक फ्रूट स्प्रेड्समध्ये आम्ही सध्या काम करतो आहे. फिग ज्यूस ॲज अ सेड दॅट इज द वर्ल्ड्स फर्स्ट रेडी टू ड्रिंक फिग ज्यूस. फिग पेस्ट, फ्रोझन पल्प्स ह्याच्यात आमचं काम चालतं. हे फ्रेशमध्ये जे आमचं एक्सपोर्टचं पॅकिंग चालतं दॅट इज हाऊ द फिग्स आर एक्सपोर्टेड. सीताफळ ऑब्वियसली त्याचे सीझन्स असतात. हे आमचं कलेक्शन सेंटर आहे जिथं फ्रेश कलेक्शन येतं. हे दिस इज बेस्ड इन सिंगापूर. एक साऊथ ईस्ट एशियामध्ये सिंगापूर आहे आणि एक पुरंदर तालुक्यात सासवडच्या जवळ एक सिंगापूर आहे जे माझं गाव आहे. सो तिथं आमचं कलेक्शन सेंटर चालतं. दॅट इज द प्लेस वेअर वी डू द फ्रेश फ्रूट कलेक्शन. आणि दिस इज द प्रोसेसिंग युनिट जे पुरंदर हायलँड्सचं आत्ता दिवे गावात जाधववाडीमध्ये चालू आहे. एकंदरीत सगळं एवढं दिसायला चांगलं असेल प्रेझेंटेशनमध्ये तर अडचण कुठं येते, तर त्या पॉईंटवर मी महत्त्वाच्या मुद्द्यावर आज येतो समिटच्या निमित्ताने. कारण की आत्तापर्यंत आम्ही जे केलं ते आम्ही आमच्या लेवलवर केलं, आम्ही आमच्या किमतीवर केलं आणि आमच्या इनोव्हेशनच्या जोरावर आम्ही सस्टेनेबल इनोव्हेशनच्या जोरावर आम्ही करत आलो. पण इथून पुढे जेव्हा आम्ही FMCGमध्ये ऑलरेडी आता एंटर झालेलो आहे तर मल्टिपल चॅलेंजेस आहेत आणि ॲक्च्युली तिथून एक नवीन जर्नी आमच्यासारख्या स्टार्टअप्सला चालू होती. बेसिकली आता गरज काय असते आम्हाला की वी नीड टू स्केल अप. आम्हाला ऑपरेशन स्केलअप करणं खूप गरजेचं असतं. त्याच्यावर ऑटोमेशन आणणं गरजेचं असतं. मॉडिफिकेशन्स ऑफ करंट प्रोडक्ट्स टू सूट द मार्केट ट्रेंड्स, एक्सपोर्ट मार्केटचे काय ट्रेंड्स आहेत, काय रिक्वायरमेंट्स आहेत आणि ऑब्व्हियसली द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टंट ॲस्पेक्ट विच इज मार्केटिंग. सो ह्या ॲव्हेन्यूजवर जेव्हा आम्ही येतो दॅट इज द राईट टाईम आय वुड से अँड FPC ऑर स्टार्टअप लाईक अस, जिथं आम्हाला इन्व्हेस्टमेंटची गरज असते, एक पार्टनरची गरज असते आय वुड से. आणि ॲज आय सेड बिलीव्ह इन पार्टनरशिप्स. मी जसं म्हणलं की आमचे काही पार्टनर्स आहेत. बेअर क्रॉप सायन्स फूड व्हॅल्यू चेन डिपार्टमेंटबरोबर आम्ही जे काम करतो की आम्ही सस्टेनेबल फार्मिंगचं मॉडेल इनिशिएट केलेलं पुरंदरमध्ये. डॉन लिमॉन पिलशिंडलर हे आमचे जर्मनीचे पार्टनर्स आहेत. मीडिया पार्टनर्स ऑब्व्हियसली आहेत. आणि आय वुड से आय हॅव बीन ग्रूम्ड इन दिस कॅम्पस इटसेल्फ. MCCIच्या स्टुडंट असल्यापासून मी इकडचे सेमिनार्स अटेंड करतोय, कॉन्फरन्सेस अटेंड करतोय आणि ऑब्व्हियसली आज हा पण एक माइलस्टोन आहे की आज मलाच इथं स्टेजवर याची एक संधी मिळालेली आहे. सो इन्स्टिट्यूशन्स लाईक दीज, थँक्यू, इन्स्टिट्यूशन्स लाईक दीज और चेंबर्स लाईक दिस help startups in such a way from what you can see Purandar Highlands today is shaping up. आणि ऑब्व्हियसली जसं मी म्हटलं मार्केटिंगला आमच्याकडे बऱ्याचदा फंड्स नसतात, पण आम्ही आमच्या लोकप्रतिनिधींकडे पण जातो, त्यांच्याकडून आमचं इनोव्हेशनचं प्रसिद्धी होती. जसं पियुष गोयल साहेबांनी जेव्हा ट्विट केलं त्यावेळेला ती जगभरात प्रसिद्धी झाली आणि पुरंदर हायलँड्स काय आणि इंडियात अंजीर होतं ही बऱ्याच लोकांना तेव्हा माहिती झाली. सेम थिंग शरद पवारजी असतील, सुप्रियाताई सुळे असतील, नितीनजी गडकरी असतील, जिथं तिथं आम्ही इनोव्हेशन केलंय, आम्ही त्या आमच्या लोकप्रतिनिधींपर्यंत पोहोचलोय. त्याला कारण एकच आहे, भले पुरंदर हायलँड्सचं आज आपण सोशल मीडियाच्या जमान्यात जेव्हा काम करतो तेव्हा एक प्रेझेन्स, सोशल मीडिया प्रेझेन्स हे प्रत्येकजण म्हणतं असायला पाहिजे, पण तो सोशल मीडिया प्रेझेन्स आपण म्हणतो फॉर एक्झाम्पल आमच्या पुरंदर हायलँडचे फॉलोअर्स किती असतील, एक 5-50 असतील असं धरून चालू आपण, पण तेच आपले लोकप्रतिनिधी असतील ते जेव्हा एखादी ट्विट करतात, काही पोस्ट करतात, त्यावेळेला त्याची प्रसिद्धी देशभरात किंवा जगभरातही होऊ शकते. अँड दॅट्स हाऊ वी स्टार्टेड कॅशिंग ऑन दीज ऑपॉर्च्युनिटीज ऑल्सो. सजेशन्स ऑर आय वुड से सपोर्ट रिक्वायर्ड थ्रू दिस समिट जे मी लुक फॉरवर्ड करतोय आणि जे ॲक्च्युली आजच्या तारखेला आम्हाला बरेच चॅलेंजेस फेस करायला लागत आहेत. ऑब्व्हियसली FPCs किंवा FPOs बद्दल बरीच चर्चा होती आज भारतात. 10,000 FPOs असेल, बरेच आपण म्हणू खूप चांगली धोरणं स्टेट गव्हर्नमेंट, सेंट्रल गव्हर्नमेंट आखतंय, पण अशा वेळेला एक 8 वर्ष झाल्यानंतर आम्हाला आमचं लक्षात आलेलं आहे की काय गोष्टी एक्झॅक्टली लागू शकतात एखाद्या FPCला किंवा एखाद्या स्टार्टअपला. तर एखादं सजेशन आमचं हे आहे की वी नीड डेडिकेटेड स्पेस फॉर FPCs इन अन MIDC. कारण की आम्ही आमचे युनिट्स जे सेटअप केले आहेत, ऑब्व्हियसली आमच्याकडे लॅक ऑफ फंड्स होते, पण आम्ही तिथं न थांबता आम्ही काही युनिट्स टेक ओव्हर केले ऑन लीज पिरियड, तिथून आम्ही आमचं प्रोडक्शन चालू केलं. बट लॉंग टर्ममध्ये मी तिथं सस्टेन नाही करू शकणार ॲज अ स्टार्टअप. वी नीड टू हॅव अ establishment which is run in an MIDC to compete against the or to reach foreign markets or any other bigger markets. Secondly, platform to sell. Obviously आपण म्हणतो की ONDC सारखे प्लॅटफॉर्म आहेत, Amazon सारखे प्लॅटफॉर्म आहेत, बट जसं मी म्हणतो आहे तसं ह्या रूममध्ये किंवा या देशात अनेक FMCG डोर टू डोर विकणारे पण प्रोडक्ट्स असतात की जे त्याच्यावर लिस्टेड असतात अँड इट इज व्हेरी हार्ड टू आयडेंटिफाय ऑर मेक युअर प्रोडक्ट स्टँड आउट. सो प्लॅटफॉर्म्स ज्या वेळेला जसं आनंद सर मगाशी म्हणाले की MCCI तर्फे जर कुठल्या ट्रेड फेअर्समध्ये पॅव्हिलियन होणार असेल तर नथिंग लाईक दॅट, बिकॉज एखाद्या पॅव्हिलियनमध्ये आपण जेव्हा जातो तेव्हा तुम्हाला एक विजिबिलिटी मिळते आणि एक प्लॅटफॉर्म मिळतो टू शोकेस युअर प्रोडक्ट्स. सो आय थिंक दॅट वुड बी द बेस्ट थिंग फॉर अ स्टार्टअप लाईक अस विच कॅन हेल्प इट गो इन द वर्ल्ड मार्केट्स. लॉजिस्टिक्स सपोर्ट ऑब्व्हियसली आत्ता आम्ही फ्रेशमध्ये लॉजिस्टिक्स आम्ही आमचं सेटअप केलं आहे की आज पुरंदरच्या सासवडमधून जवळपास 7 राज्यांमध्ये आमच्या कस्टमर्सच्या डोरस्टेपपर्यंत डिलिव्हरी आम्ही देऊ शकतो B2B मध्ये, आणि इव्हन एक्सपोर्ट क्लायंट्सला आम्ही देतो आमच्या पार्टनर्स बरोबर. बट चॅलेंजेस हेच असतात की बऱ्याचदा फॉर एक्झाम्पल आता आम्ही दिल्ली मार्केटला जेव्हा अंजीर पाठवतो और कोलकाता मार्केटला पाठवतो, सिलिगुरी, बागडोगरा पाठवतो, नेट एअरपोर्टचे चार्जेस आम्हाला जवळपास 35 रुपयापासून 65 रुपये म्हणजे 35 to 65 रुपीज हे आम्हाला एअरपोर्ट एअरलाईन्सला द्यावे लागतात जस्ट टू शिप आर प्रोडक्ट्स. सो हेच कॉस्टिंग जर एवढ्या मोठ्या प्रमाणात ॲट बेसच वाढत असेल तर त्या फळांची प्रसिद्धी किंवा त्या प्रोडक्टची प्रसिद्धी होणार कशी. आणि हे फक्त पुरंदर हायलँडच्या बाबतीत नाही, हे देशात बऱ्याच ठिकाणी जिथं जिथं FPC चालतात त्या प्रत्येकाला हा इश्यू येतोच की ते प्राईस मॅच कसं करणार तुम्ही त्या कॉम्पिटिशनमध्ये. सो त्या बाबतीत सपोर्ट जर मिळाला तर दॅट वुड बी ग्रेट. मार्केटिंग सपोर्ट ऑब्व्हियसली एक हा सर्वात महत्त्वाचा विषय आहे की मार्केटिंग करणं काही वेळेला तुमचं एक वर्ड ऑफ माउथ होतं, पण वर्ड ऑफ माउथ व्हायलाही तुम्हाला प्रेझेन्स असावा लागतो तुमचा, त्या सोशल मीडिया असेल और लोकल मार्केट्स असेल, आणि त्याच्यातच खरं सस्टेनेबिलिटी तुमची कळते. कारण की आजच्या तारखेला जर मार्केट सगळं प्रोडक्ट डेव्हलपमेंटपर्यंत आम्ही चांगलं केलेलं आहे, पण मार्केटिंगकडे जर माझ्याकडे रिझर्व्स नसतील, मार्केटिंगकडे माझा प्लॅन नसेल, तर तो प्रोडक्ट आय थिंक लवकरच पडद्याआड जाऊ शकतो, विच इज व्हेरी ट्रू जे घडू शकतं. आणि त्या अनुषंगाने एखादी स्टार्टअप और FPC जेव्हा प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च करते तर त्याचा मार्केटिंग प्लॅन आणि त्याचा कशा पद्धतीने तो लॉन्च होणार आहे, दॅट इज अगेन अ व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट ॲस्पेक्ट. द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टंट अगेन आय फील FMCG सेक्टर, फॉर एक्झाम्पल आमचे स्प्रेड्स आहेत आणि आमचे ज्युसेस आहेत. आम्ही जेव्हा मार्केटमध्ये एंटर करतोय आता, एक साईडला आपण म्हणू की असे प्लेयर्स असतात की जे डोर टू डोर सेल करतील, ज्यांना कॅपिटल इन्व्हेस्टमेंट नसतात, त्यांचं काही ओव्हरहेड्स नसतात जास्त, दे कॅन सस्टेन देमसेल्व्स. वेरएज अदर एंड इज असे MNCs किंवा मल्टी ग्लोबल ब्रँड्स असतील की जे डीप पॉकेट्स असतात अँड दे कॅन सस्टेन द लॉसेस इवन फॉर 5-10 years, बट दे वॉन्ट टू मेक देअर प्रेझन्स हॅपन. अशा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड सेक्टरमध्ये जेव्हा आमच्यासारखी FPC उतरती किंवा फॉर से एनी स्टार्टअप उतरती, दे नीड दॅट सपोर्ट टू सस्टेन दोज 2-3 years. कारण की ते 2-3 वर्ष मार्केटिंग तुम्हाला करणं, तुमच्या डिस्ट्रीब्युटर चॅनल्स सेटअप करणं, तुमचं कॅपॅसिटी वाढवणं आणि फायनली टाईंग अप ऑर मेकिंग युअर प्रोडक्ट्स एस्टॅब्लिश इन द मार्केट, ह्याला कमीत कमी 2 ते 3 वर्ष सहज जातात. आणि तो जो सपोर्ट असतो तो फार एखाद्या FPCला किंवा एखाद्या स्टार्टअपला महत्त्वाचा ठरू शकतो. आणि लास्टली ॲज ए सेट, कॉमन फॅसिलिटेशन सेंटर आज भारतात बऱ्याच ठिकाणी फूड पार्क्स किंवा फूड इंडस्ट्रीसाठी डेडिकेटेड सेंटर्स होत आहेत. अशा ठिकाणी जर कुठल्या FPCला किंवा स्टार्टअप्सला जर ते कॉमन एस्टॅब्लिशमेंट मिळाली की ते त्यांचे प्रोडक्ट्स तिथून मॅन्युफॅक्चर करू शकतील, तो दॅट कॅन अगेन बी अ बेनिफिट. आजच्या तारखेला जरी पुरंदर हायलँडचं आमचं युनिट आहे, वी हॅव मेड इट ओपन ऑन जॉब वर्क बेसिस, की कुठले स्टार्टअप्स असतील, इफ दे आर इंटरेस्टेड इन वर्किंग इन दीज प्रोडक्ट्स, आम्ही ते प्रोडक्ट त्यांना बनवून देतो. सो दॅट व्हॉट वी फेस्ड मे बी दे वुडंट फील दॅट त्यांना मार्केट एंट्री त्यांची डिले झाली त्या गोष्टीमुळे. सो अशा पद्धतीने जर गव्हर्नमेंट लेवलला फूड पार्क्समध्ये जर कॉमन फॅसिलिटेशन सेंटर मिळालं तर दॅट कॅन बी वन ऑफ द स्ट्रॉंग पॉईंट्स फॉर FPCs or startups to at least survive in the initial phase. This is इमेज तुम्हाला दिसेल, मे बी विक्ट्री साईन दिसते, बट हे रिसेंटली आमची वेबसाईट लॉन्च झाली आणि ती आम्ही एका सीताफळाच्या बागेतच केली, एका शेतकऱ्याच्या हस्ते. सो तो एक फोटो आहे. सो दीज मायनर अचिव्हमेंट्स ऑर स्मॉल अचिव्हमेंट्स आर ऑल्सो समथिंग बिग. 8 वर्षानंतर आमची वेबसाईट ऑब्व्हियसली लॉन्च झाली, पण 8 वर्षातलं काम आज आम्ही त्याच्यावर विथ प्रूफ टाकू शकतो. ते एक आमची क्रेडिबिलिटी आज फॉरेन मार्केट्समध्ये तयार झालेली आहे. सो दॅट इज वॉट अ गुडविल ऑल्सो कॅन मॅटर फॉर अ स्टार्टअप लाईक अस. थँक्यू.
Thank you. It is highly commendable that a relatively young startup like you is thinking as big as being the pioneer in export of figs in India. Not only that, you're also encouraging farmers to become entrepreneurs, which is really a very commendable thing. Thank you very much. Any questions?
हॅलो 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 हां सर, आत्ता तुम्ही शेवट जे केलात त्याच्यामध्ये तुम्ही म्हणालात की जे वेबसाईट तुम्ही 8 वर्षानंतर आत्ता लॉन्च केलेली आहे, बरोबर? तर खरं म्हणजे कुठल्याही म्हणजे बिझनेसची पहिली रिक्वायरमेंट हे वेबसाईटच असते. म्हणजे आपल्या डोक्यात जे आहे ते पहिलं वेबसाईटवरती उतरते, मग ते खरं म्हणजे एक्झिक्युशनमध्ये येते ते. तर हे म्हणजे एवढं वेळ का, म्हणजे तुम्ही एवढे म्हणजे सुशिक्षित आहात आणि पुण्यासारख्या असं म्हणजे एवढ्या चांगल्या सिटीमध्ये आपण वाढतोय, म्हणजे मग त्याचं ती रिक्वायरमेंट फार पूर्वी का कंप्लीट नाही केली? म्हणजे जस्ट माझा एक असा एक प्रश्न.
सर, मी जसं म्हटलं की मी मुद्दामून हायलाईट केलं बिकॉज आय वॉज एक्सपेक्टिंग दिस क्वेश्चन की 8 वर्ष का लागले. त्याला एक 2 गोष्टी आहेत की जसं मी म्हटलं 2014मध्ये ही कंपनी जेव्हा चालू केली तेव्हा एक उद्देश होता की अंजीर एक्सपोर्ट झाले पाहिजे. पण जेव्हा मी शेतावर गेलो किंवा बांधावर गेलो आमच्या शेतकऱ्यांबरोबर, तेव्हा कळलं हे नुसतं पॅकिंग करून पाठवायचं त्याच्यात राहिलेलं नाही आहे. त्याच्यावर बॅकएंडवर खूप रिसर्च लागणार आहे. त्याच्यावर प्लांटेशन्स, त्याच्यानंतर प्री हार्वेस्ट प्रॅक्टिसेस, पोस्ट हार्वेस्ट प्रॅक्टिसेस, पॅकेजिंग प्रॅक्टिसेस आणि त्याच्यानंतर ते सस्टेनेबल कसं राहील आणि मग प्रोटोकॉल्स आणि मग हे सगळ्या गोष्टी आल्या. सो हे करता करता आम्हाला जवळपास 6 वर्ष गेले हे सगळं करायला. त्याच्यानंतर आम्ही जेव्हा एक्सपोर्ट केलं आणि जसं तुम्ही म्हटलं की वेबसाईट लेट का झाला, एक आमचं बिलीफ आहे की आजही पुरंदर हायलँड्सचं जी काय प्रसिद्धी होती ती अशा मंचामुळे होती किंवा अशा काही प्लॅटफॉर्म्समुळे होती. त्याला कारण एवढंच आहे की आम्ही जे काय करतोय त्याचं एक 5 म्हणजे आमच्या पुढच्या 25 वर्ष काय करायचं हे एवढं धोरण आमचं फिक्स आहे. पण आम्ही शॉर्ट टर्म गोल्स केलेले आहेत की 5 वर्षात, 8 वर्षात, 7 वर्षात कुठं आपण पोहोचणार आहे. आणि ते करत असताना वेबसाईट जर डिझाईन केली तर आज मला इमेजेस मिळतील, कंटेंट मिळेल, ते सगळं ऑनलाईन मिळेल. पण फुलप्रूफ काम जे आम्ही काम केलं 8 वर्षाचं ते मला त्यावेळेला नसतं टाकता आलं. त्यावेळेला आम्ही फक्त टाकलं असतं पुरंदर हायलँड्स वी आर एक्सपोर्टर्स ऑफ फिग, बट टुडे वी आर ऑलरेडी एक्सपोर्टिंग फिग्स अँड दिस इज व्हॉट आवर ट्रॅक रेकॉर्ड इज. ती क्रेडिबिलिटी आज आमच्याकडे आली. हो, पुरंदरचं जे अंजीर आहे त्याची एक हिस्ट्री अशी आहे की मोहम्मद बिन तगलक जो एम्परर होता त्यांनी इंडियातून जाताना त्यांनी बुंदेलखंडमध्ये त्याची लागवड केली होती पहिले. आणि पेशवा बाजीराव वन जे आपले आहेत त्यांनी बुंदेलखंडच्या युद्धातच त्या अंजिराची रोपं त्यांना त्यावेळेला तिथं दिसली आणि ती अंजिराची रोपं त्यांची पहिली लागवड झाली ती दिवे गावात पुरंदरच्या. आणि आजही त्याची जी लागवड झालेली आहे त्या काळापासून त्या ऑल ओव्हर पुरंदरमध्ये आता त्याची लागवड आहे. आणि हे गव्हर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडियानी आज मान्य केलं की जे पुरंदरच्या मातीत अंजीर होतं ते इतर कुठेही होऊ शकत नाही. म्हणजे मी पुण्यात जरी माझ्या घरी किती प्रयत्न केले कंट्रोल टेम्परेचर सगळं करूनही तरी त्या मातीचा गुण त्या हवेचा गुण तिथं उतरू शकत नाही. अँड दॅट इज वाय इट इज रेकग्नाइज ॲज अ GI टॅग कमोडिटी. नाही, पुरंदरचा जो वरचा भाग आहे, येस बरोबर, हो 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 येस. हो, कॉमन फॅसिलिटेशन. सर जसं म्हणलं की आता आम्ही जेव्हा स्केलअप करतोय, आता ती मशिनरी सेटअप करायला जर आमच्याकडे आता अवेलेबल फंड्स नसतील तर आम्ही तो फूड पार्क वापरू शकतो आमचे प्रोडक्ट्स तिथून स्केलअप करायला. कारण की ती फॅसिलिटी जी मी बघितली आहे दॅट इज अ व्हेरी गुड फॅसिलिटी इन सातारा जो फूड पार्क त्यांनी डिझाईन केला आहे. आणि ऑब्व्हियसली जर अशा फूड पार्क्समध्ये जर आम्हाला रिक्वायर्ड मशिनरी असेल तर आम्ही स्केलअप करताना आमच्या ऑर्डर्स आम्ही तिथून सहज करू शकतो.
येस, नमस्कार. तुमचे प्रोडक्ट्स फार छान आहेत. मी टेस्टिंग केलं आत्ता. सो तुमचा फ्रँचायझी किंवा काही असे स्पेसिफिक उभे करण्याचा काही प्लॅन आहे का, की काही पार्टनर्स घेऊन उदाहरणार्थ पुण्यामध्ये कोणी सदाशिवपेठेमध्ये असेल किंवा पिंपरीमध्ये कोणी असेल तर त्याचं ऑलरेडी स्टोअर आहे तर तिथे म्हणजे तुम्ही जर फ्रँचायझीज दिल्या त्या लोकांना किंवा तिथे त्यांना जर प्रोडक्ट ठेवायला दिले तर तिथून तुमचा ग्रोथ चांगला होऊ शकतो आणि त्या व्यक्तीलाही रोजगार मिळू शकतो. असा काही प्लॅन आहे का तुमचा किंवा असं काही धोरण आहे का?
सर नक्कीच आहे, कारण की आम्ही काही रेडी टू इट प्रोडक्ट्समध्ये आता आमचं ऑलरेडी रिसर्च चालू आहे. आणि एक पुरंदर हायलँड्सचं एक धोरण आहे की पुढच्या 10 वर्षात तरी आम्ही आमचं स्वतःचं रिटेल स्टोअर कुठं आणणार नाही आहे. पण ऑब्व्हियसली वी आर ओपन फॉर फ्रँचायझीज, वी आर ओपन फॉर पार्टनरशिप अँड वी आर ओपन फॉर स्टॉकिस्ट ऑर डिस्ट्रीब्युटर्स.
नमस्कार, मी ऋषिकेश पोद्दार. ॲक्च्युली मला एक प्रश्न विचारायचा होता की तुम्ही जे म्हणलात की पुरंदरचा जो आसपासचा एरिया आहे त्याच्यामध्ये फिक्सची क्वालिटी एकदम चांगली येते, तर मग इन फ्युचर ज्यावेळेस तुम्ही स्केलअप करणार आहे तर मग त्याच्यामध्ये तुम्हाला क्वांटिटीचा इश्यू येऊ शकतो का? की
येस सर्टनली, कारण की मी जसं म्हटलं की आम्ही एक ग्लोबल ब्रँड बनतोय. सो ग्लोबल ब्रँड बनताना मी फक्त पुरंदर करूनही चालणार नाही आहे. पुढे जाऊन भारतात 10,000 मेट्रिक टन अंजिराचं उत्पादन आहे. फक्त महाराष्ट्रात नाही तर कर्नाटकामध्ये, आंध्र प्रदेशमध्ये, उत्तर प्रदेशमध्ये, गुजरातमध्ये एवढ्या ठिकाणी आता लागवड झालेली आहे. पण प्रोसेसिंग करणारी आत्ता तरी भारतात अग्रेसर असणारी पुरंदर हायलँड्स आहे. पण जेव्हा मी ग्लोबल लेवलला जाणार आहे और मी जेव्हा पुरंदर हायलँड्स एक ग्लोबल ब्रँड बनतोय त्यावेळेला मला सोर्सिंग ह्या सगळ्या स्टेट्समधून पण करणं गरजेचं आहे. अनलेस
मग इन दॅट केस तुम्ही क्वालिटी कशी मेंटेन कराल?
आम्ही आमचे प्रोटोकॉल्स जे डिझाईन केलेले आहेत की आम्ही आता इवन तुम्ही फिग ज्यूस जर आमचा बघितला तर आमचा त्याच्यावर फिग ज्यूस हा एक स्पेसिफिक प्रोडक्ट आम्ही आणलेला आहे. आणि त्याच्यासाठी पण आम्ही एक पेटंटेड प्रोसेस आमची तयार केलेली आहे की वेर इन राऊंड द इयर त्याचे क्वालिटी पॅरामीटर्स आणि टेस्ट टेक्स्चर हे सेम राहील. की अंजीर इंडियात जे ग्रो होत आहेत एक तर ब्राऊन टर्की आणि पुना फिग या 2 मेजॉरिटी व्हरायटी आहेत आणि तिसरी व्हरायटी एक डिएना म्हणून आहे. तर त्यातल्या शॉर्टलिस्ट ज्या केल्यात आम्ही त्या ब्राऊन टर्की आणि पुना फिग या प्रोसेसिंगमध्ये येतील. डिएना आम्ही काही वेगळ्या प्रोसेससाठी वापरणार आहे. सर ऑब्व्हियसली आता जसं सियाल म्हणून एक जे एक्झिबिशन आता रिसेंटली इंडियात झालं, सलोन दी इंटरनॅशनल एलिमेंटेशन, एक फ्रान्सचं संस्था भरवती. सो त्याच्यात मला नमूद करायला आवडेल की पुरंदर हायलँड्स ही भारतातून एकमेव कंपनी ठरली की जिला तिथे अवॉर्ड मिळाला. टॉप 3मध्ये ऑल ओव्हर वर्ल्डच्या ह्याच्यात पुरंदर हायलँड्सचं फिग ज्यूस आणि स्पेशल प्राईज आलं फिग स्प्रेडला. पण अशा ठिकाणी जेव्हा आम्हाला रेकग्निशन मिळालं तेव्हा आमचं आढळलं की आमच्याकडे काही सर्टिफिकेशन्स नाही आहेत. कारण की सेम ट्रेड फेअरला आम्हाला बऱ्याचशा एक्सपोर्टच्या ऑर्डर्स चालू झाल्या. पण आता त्याच्यात मग आम्ही काय केलं आहे की त्याच्यात रेग्युलेटरीला जसं मगाशी आनंद सर म्हणाले की आम्ही चेंबरबरोबर असोसिएट झालेलो आहे ऑलरेडी. वी ट्राय टू नो की सर्टिफाईंग एजन्सीज कुठल्या आहेत, कुठल्या पद्धतीने आम्ही सर्टिफाय करू शकतो. और जसं मी मगाशी पर्याय म्हणला की एखादी सर्टिफाईड प्रोसेसिंग युनिट असेल तर तिथून आम्ही आमचं प्रोडक्शन करू शकतो. सो हे रेग्युलेटरीज जे तुम्ही म्हणलात की ते सर्टिफिकेशन्स आर द मस्ट इन डेव्हलप मार्केट्स. सो त्या मार्केट वाईज आम्ही आता टार्गेट मार्केट आयडेंटिफाय केलेत आणि त्या टार्गेट मार्केट्सला आम्ही पुढच्या 3 वर्षात 5 वर्षात जाणार आहे. पण सर्टिफिकेशन्स आर समथिंग विच वी आर लॅकिंग नाव. आम्ही 3 सर्टिफिकेशन्स आमचे ऑलरेडी आहेत आता सध्या. पुरंदर हायलँड्स इज ISO 22000 2018 हलाल सर्टिफाईड, HACCP सर्टिफाईड आहेत. त्याच्या पुढेही अजून US FDA आहे, FSSAI आहे, विच वी नीड टू डू. सो त्या गोष्टी आम्हाला करणं गरजेचं आहे आणि अशा ठिकाणी आय थिंक चेंबर प्लेज अन व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट रोल इन गायडिंग अस हाऊ टू डू इट.
एक ऑब्झर्वेशन आणि एक छोटा प्रश्न आहे. ऑब्झर्वेशन पहिल्यांदा सांगतो, एक सद्गृहस्थाने तुम्हाला सांगितलं की ते वेबसाईट एवढा उशिरा वगैरे का आणलं, सो डोंट बॉदर अबाउट इट. खतावर समजे की दुनिया तुझे की इतनी ज्यादा सफाई न दे. यू डोंट बॉदर अबाउट इट, यू लुक फॉरवर्ड. जे आलं ते आलं, झालं ते झालं. हे माझं ऑब्झर्वेशन आहे. मी त्यांना सद्गृहस्थांना ओळखत नाही. पण एक प्रश्न आहे, सीताफळं विकून आणि अंजीर विकून तुम्ही खूप मोठे नाही होणार.
नाही,
त्यात काहीतरी वेगळं करायला लागेल आणि ते वेगळं करण्याकरता प्रोडक्ट डिफरन्शिएशन स्ट्रॅटेजी करायला लागेल. तर त्याच्याबद्दल काही विचार केला आहे का?
सर सर्टनली जसं तुम्ही म्हणला की फ्रेश अंजीर किंवा फ्रेश सीताफळ जर आम्ही विकत बसलो तर फ्रेशच्या कॅटेगरीमध्ये इरिस्पेक्टिव्ह आम्ही किती त्याच्यात ॲडव्हान्समेंट करतोय किंवा किती हायटेक पद्धतीने करतोय त्याचे मार्जिन्स राहतात 6 to 7% रेंजमध्ये, विच कॅनॉट बी सस्टेनेबल. आणि त्याच्यात ग्लोबल वॉर्मिंगचे इफेक्ट्स आणि क्लायमेट चेंजचा इफेक्ट हा दरवर्षी येतोच आहे. पण त्यासाठी मग आम्ही अंजिरात जे मल्टिपल प्रोडक्ट्स तयार केले. आता भारतात आपण जे ड्राय अंजीर खातो ते इराण आणि अफगाणिस्तानमधून इम्पोर्ट होतात.
करेक्ट.
इंडियातली व्हरायटी ड्राय होत नाही हे आमच्या लक्षात आलं होतं 2017मध्ये. ही मार्केट ॲक्सेप्टेबल नाही होते ती ड्राय व्हरायटी. मग तिथं न थांबता आम्ही आमचा ज्यूस तयार केला की जो कुठल्याच देशाकडे नाही आहे. स्प्रेड तयार केला. और सम ऑर दी अदर वे वी नीड टू गो इन टू व्हॅल्यू ॲडिशन. सिमिलरली सीताफळमध्ये वी आर रेडी विथ अ प्रोडक्ट विच इज अ रेडी टू इट रबडी, की जो एका दहीच्या पॅकिंग सारखं मध्ये येईल.
कारण पेरिशिबिलिटी हा मोठा फॅक्टर असल्यामुळे तुम्हाला यू विल हॅव टू गो टू व्हॅल्युएडेड प्रोडक्ट्स अँड डू दी प्रॉडक्ट डिफरन्सिएशन फॉर दोज प्रोडक्ट्स. मग तुम्हाला किती वेळ लागतो आणि किती कॉस्ट येते हे प्रश्न उद्भवणारच नाहीत. इजंट इट? देन यू कॅन एक्सपोर्ट अ लॉट.
Certainly.
Thank you very much. I now invite Mrs. Vrishali Sone and Mr. Shantanu Jagtap to felicitate the guest. Thank you. We move on now to our next session. The next session is on a very important sector, defense. I invite on stage Mr. Harsh Gune, Vice Chairman, Defense Committee, MCCI, Mr. Narendra Devre, AGM, Godrej Aerospace, Mr. Dharmesh Gala, Director, AI and Robotics, Accurate Industrial Controls Private Limited, Mr. Varun Khandare, Director, Strategic Research and Growth Foundation, and Mr. Ravalnath Shende, Director, Shri Refrigeration Private Limited.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I'm audible. I know it's a challenge to discuss defense production post-lunch. We know the challenges, but I'm very fortunate to have a panel who have a wide spectrum of experience in defense sector, both in the actual production, the strategic perspective, and OE's perspective. Well, I thank on behalf of the industry, district and state administration to come forward and perceive this kind of an interaction, essentially to reach out and let industry know various initiatives, opportunities, and the perceived hand-holding in coming times. Because it's a different time, it's a different state, it's a different country, it's all new India. The basis is obviously technology and industrial base. When we say industrial, there are various types of industry. And for defense, I think it's a boom period. It's a golden time when the country is fast transitioning from number 2 or number 3 import-based country or industrial base to a company which is aspiring to be dominating the export market. In fact, we have had nearly 15,000 to 18,000 crores of export in last couple of years, and there has been a major push to go beyond boundaries and look for export market, develop for the world, develop for the developed countries. And in many instances, we have proved that, in fact, whatever products and platforms we produce in India is now acceptable beyond country. Since 2014, defense production has come a long way, and there are many changes in the way the defense procurement happens. I'm sure the panelists would agree, since the time we started participating in defense production, since 2015, now we are talking about innovation, we are talking about startups in defense. That was like a dream come true, where even talking to the armed forces was a big no-no, and they were barred from even talking to private sector and industry representatives. To a time where they are openly now inviting industries to innovate, to have startup ecosystem, do not essentially rely on DRDO for the development work. That's where we stand. Recently, we had a very important engagement with Indo-US framework on startups, on innovations, and how two countries could collaborate. So there are immense opportunities. Armed forces are embracing emerging technologies like AI, cybersecurity, hypersonic technologies, maritime technologies, and that could pose huge opportunities to the armed forces. So what we intend to do here is, Pune already has a matured industrial base, and there are success stories in and around Pune. As we all know, technocrats run the industry here, and in a very frugal way, we have been able to demonstrate how critical technology can be successfully sustained, and a supply chain can be developed over the number of years. While we talk about Pune, MCCI has taken up multiple initiatives, in fact, in the way the defense procurement and the defense procedures could reach out to industries. MCCI, in fact, pioneered first formal defense committee to provide the connect and between the armed forces and industries and facilitate interactions in many ways. So it's always a step ahead initiative of MCCI to form a committee, to have multiple engagements, and in fact at the very forefront of the industry connect and industries coming into defense sector. Third important thing is Pune, now we all aspire to have recognition as the technological hub. A lot of efforts have been made towards developing the UP as North Corridor. south corridor while developing industrial base there. But Pune has a distinctive advantage. We need not have a corridor, but we should aspire to have a technology base of all new technologies. And in fact, wherever there is a new technology, Pune, and that should be the answer, or that is what we all aspire. And that has been MCCI's endeavor, especially in last a few months. And in coming, let's say 1 year or 2 year, when we see all the innovations and technology developments happening, we would definitely form a crucial sort of a technology hub, and MCCI would be happy to have hand-holding not with Indian industries, but also with the international industries. Lastly, before I conclude the introductory comments, when we look at investments, when we look at industrial development, irrespective of the other industries, given that we already have an industrial base, what I would expect from the panel member is what could be the modes of investment, whether the international tie-up could be a mode of investment, whether emerging technologies could be a mode of investment, whether the existing industrial base can be expanded further so that we bring in investments. The recent initiatives of, let's say, Center of Excellence, whether that could be mode of investment, whether initiatives of Godrej into new technologies area, whether that could help us build up sort of a technology developed area. And when we say traditional industrial based development, we are still talking about clusters, which is essentially land. But can we also look at some form of technology development areas through which definitive clusters can be created? In fact, which we tried in some area to have a specific project-based cluster. So 20 acres of land dedicated to either land systems or air systems, wherein we could specifically bring in investments. Be the suggestion to the state government, instead of just declaring as a cluster, can we have a theme-based, project-based investment so that it's an inclusive approach. So what we would like to do is have individual introductions. It's a very elite panel, and we are all lucky and privileged to have such a wide spectrum of panel. And then we would go with a panel discussion covering topics like leveraging the industrial base, what we could do on the emerging technologies, whether the specific skilling is required, whether some policy frameworks needs to be amended. I recollect Maharashtra's initiative to launch the defense and aerospace policy. It was first of its kind, I think, in 2016 and 17, whether that needs to be revamped, that needs to be reintroduced, revitalized. And of course, lastly, the challenges and opportunities. So I would request Mr. Devre to start with introduction, then we.
Yeah, good afternoon all. Myself Narendra Devre. I am from Godrej Aerospace. We are supplying space as well as the defense products, and I am heading one of the plant who is working in space as well as defense. So when we take a name of Godrej, we definitely see some locks and cupboards and fridge. But now Godrej is in aerospace sector also, and that journey started in 1990s when our Professor U.R. Rao, the scientist of ISRO, approached to Godrej to manufacture some precision components for a space sector. So with that initiative, we started the relation between space and Godrej, and after that the relation grew further when we started working on the Vikas engine, which is the part of the PSLV engine. And that relation grew further after when we started working with the cryogenic sector. The India, after moving from Vikas to cryogenic sector, then the ISRO developed that 7.5 ton engine for that our GSLV Mark II. There the Godrej was the preferred partner, and we delivered the first engine to our space sector. Then we worked with ISRO further, and then indigenized engine of C-20, which is the basically extension of the imported cryogenic version. There we supplied the C-20 engine, and all these Chandrayaan and all these things or launches are being done with this C-20 engine. Then when this our late APJ Abdul Kalam ji moved from ISRO to DRDL, then our defense working relation started building with DRDO. Then we worked with that Prithvi engine. Then further the journey started with the airframes and motor casing, then actuators, LRUs, and all these things. Then with these learnings, we moved further to our export customers also, and there we are working with all the OEMs and all these things. And now we are in the rubbers and composites also. So this is the brief introduction what we are doing right now. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dharmesh Gala. I am Director of AI and Robotics at Accurate Industrial Controls. Accurate Industrial Controls is a Pune-based organization. It's a first generation technology organization started with industrial automation business by our chairman, Mr. Kiran Jadhav. And over the years, it has developed into variety of different areas of business. One of the areas being defense. In defense, we supply a lot of energy systems to rocket launchers, radars, and ground power units for Air Force, and so on. And in recent years, our automation division is also working on projects like autonomous boats for Navy, AI-based inspection systems, and some artificial intelligence-based image recognition systems. So these are the most recent areas of working for defense. Besides, of course, the defense Accurate has been into a variety of other solutions like embedded electronics and hydraulics and pneumatic components for braking systems in railways and so on. So this all different internal cluster of technologies translate into very high-end products offering to defense. So I would like to pass on to my next panelist. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Varun Khandare. I'm the director of the Strategic Research and Growth Foundation. We're basically the new kids on the block as far as this panel goes. So it's my privilege and I'm quite humbled to be here. Now, what we do is our organization primarily works in the areas of identifying and nurturing emerging technologies. And we utilize various methods and strategies to be able to do this. One of the ways we look at it is by way of strategizing the way forward, by being strategic problem solvers, by way of utilizing capacity building. And amongst other things, we also nurture and maintain international cooperation with like-minded organizations. How all of this comes together for a panel like this is that we utilize all of these expertise and capabilities of ours, and we map and apply it across various sectors and domains within the industry, defense being one of them, and I would say one of the most exciting ones at that. So really happy to be here, and as we get along with the panel and the discussion, I'll be able to tell you more about how things move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Khandare sir. I am Ravulnath Shende, company Sri Refrigerations Limited. We make air conditioning systems for warships and submarines. मराठी भाषेत सांगायचं झालं तर सध्या आदरणीय दैवत शी जिनपिंग यांचा फोटो देवाऱ्यात ठेवलेला आहे. त्यांच्यामुळे आम्हाला खूप ऑर्डर्स येतात. And the second best thing we are able to do in whatever defense contracts we are participating is we are able to save a lot of foreign exchange for the country and a lot of money for the taxpayer. Just a small example, we have done air conditioning of the Scorpion submarine at 25% of what would have been an MNC quotation. There was, in absence of what my predecessor on the dais said, in absence of an established brand, a lot of correspondence was made ki nahi yaar, this guy cannot deliver. I'm glad that the last of the Scorpion is deep inside the sea with my ACs working fine. So yes, we have a lot to contribute in terms of defense manufacturing, because if anyone digs the sheer numbers, the naval warship building is a $40 billion business size happening in India. I want a good part of that, not just a small part of that, come to Pune. So whatever MCCI is willing to go forward in this aspect, I'll be only pleased to be a part of it. Secondly, I was participating in Def Expo in Lucknow, and there was a very specific government, local government focus and initiative on creating a defense manufacturing infrastructure. You can call it as a belt or whatever you want. And there was a specific segment in the government that was working on this subject. Honestly, I'm not aware of any such thing happening in Maharashtra government part of the story. Like every day I say, having a small table for a day, at least one dedicated officer who can understand and solve the defense OEMs problems, of which there are plenty, which we will discuss in the subsequent chain. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for all the dignitaries here. I think each one of them has a huge success story, and if you hear it, it's easier said, but lot of efforts, commitment, and passion. That's the bottom line. To open the discussion, I would start with a very interesting statement I heard. Assertive nation in times of uncertain world. And that's one of the apt statements to describe what India is right now. It's new India. The whole world is looking at India for some kind of solutions. While other assignments, I also work on critical materials, and being a member of the project review committee, where BRC and IREL and even Niti Aayog members are there. One observation is everybody wants to work with Indian companies, Indian startups, Indian technocrats in some form or the other. So taking a clue, I would like to start the discussion with Mr. Varun, giving an international perspective, possibilities of tie-ups, recent updates on the scenario wherein we are looking at some kind of collaborative framework with some of the countries. So would you just enlighten us?
Thank you, Ganesh Sahib. So very humbled to be able to start off this session. Based on what Mr. Gune mentioned when we opened this discussion, I think it's one of the most exciting times to be in a nation like ours today. The rapid pace rather, with which we are moving ahead, with which we are progressing, developing, and the way our economy is booming and moving from strength to strength. So no better place to be today than a nation like India. And going forward on that note, no better sector or domain to develop for than something like defense and national security. Again, taking a lead from Ganesh Sahib, in the last 10 years, we've moved from a very closed-minded approach to defense manufacturing to what we today have, where it is a very open-ended approach, freely available resources, tools, and information, and a massive push from the authorities as well as the users towards innovation. And the way all of this is being achieved in today's domain is by way of collaboration. Collaborations are coming in both ways. It's domestic as well as foreign. So where Mr. Gune said that how we would be able to leverage international cooperation in today's landscape, it's a huge area of opportunity for those working within this domain, working within this sector. Uh, as an example, as what Sir said earlier, that we are not only developing for ourselves, we are not only developing for countries that may be less developed than us as of today, we are also now being seen strongly as capable development partners, even by developed nations. A lot of recent solutions that have come about have come in with countries like Israel, even the USA to some extent. And they now look at us as very capable development partners, as a nation with a very strong work ethic, with a very strong commitment to delivering good solutions at, one would say, the best cost possible, as what Chinde Sahib said earlier. So basically looking at all of this, one of the best times to be in developing for a sector like this. What I would also like to add to this is it is one of the greatest times to also be innovative, to be a bit of a risk taker. The way we are rapidly moving into solution building and development, the scenarios today are endless. I mean, I'll give you a very recent example. 3 days back, we had Def Connect in Delhi, and IDEX launched the Aditi scheme at Def Connect. Now, Aditi is one of the newest developmental programs by IDEX, and the scale and the scope that they've created is huge. I think what they've essentially put out is that for PDBs of 50 crores and above, they are looking at quantum funding to the tune of 25 crores. That is about 50% of that cost. They're capping it at that, but let's look at it this way. 25 crores for pushing out technologies that are in a nascent R&D level today, but the nation would like to have those readily available and developed to be put into use case scenarios as quickly as possible. Now, I think about 30 such technologies, deep tech technologies, have been identified, which are going to be worked on. And within these 3 days, 17 challenges under the scheme have already been put out. One of which, of course, all 17 are exciting, but one which really caught my eye. And that is why I said that, it's one of the greatest times to innovate and to think freely. There's a challenge which is looking at submissions on developing weaponized drone systems to be launched from Mi-17 helicopters. Now just imagine launching weaponized drone systems from Mi-17 helicopters. You've essentially, looked at the shortcomings of both these platforms and fused the strengths together to create the next level of weaponized systems that could launch from a Mi-17 helicopter. So challenges such as these, and now this is not a figment of imagination. This is something that has been floated. Submissions are open for the next 2 months from startups for this, from MSMEs, from independent creators as well. It is open to all these 3 categories. So how we do this, how we take this forward, how Pune as a city, Pune as a district leverages this. As Sir said, we already have a strong industrial base. We already have a strong innovation approach to things. What we really need to do is fuse these two together and move ahead in these directions. The challenges are plenty, the resources are plenty, and it is now time that we can actually, make a place for ourselves at a national and an international stage. So again, as the discussion progresses, I'll come back with more insights and more ideas on these. But to open things up, yes, this is where we stand today.
Well, thank you so much for the insight. I'm just trying to connect few dots of three, four events and like you mentioned and what Mr. Shende just mentioned. So, question to the panelists and participants and the representative: can we have some kind of action task force? Since Shende specifically mentioned the need to have a a special focus on defense from the state machinery side, uh, like what you have in UP or possibly South. So just trying to connect a dot and again reiterating, can we have some kind of an action task force to essentially pull the Indo-US opportunity into Maharashtra before somebody snatches it very fast, either in Telangana or in Bangalore. And correctly, can MCCI take the lead in terms of forming some kind of a focal point, fulcrum? That's the takeaway, in fact, for the state machinery and for the panelists for the industry. So again, Mr. Shende, your views on this?
Yeah, sure. Since the opportunity is big and time is so short, I believe we need not try to reinvent the wheel or go into an apple garden with a stone to reinvent gravity. My company's focus is generally to try and get the best of global technology, pay them the money, all right, bring it here, fuse it with the local efficient manufacturing and after sales service, so that the technology is not abandoned subsequently, absorb all whatever critical tech they have to offer, respect their IP, of course. One of the key differentiators and why people today are looking forward to India over China is our respect for their intellectual property. We don't steal their innovations. We pay for them and we buy them. In the past, I have pleased to say I got at least 2 very active international cooperations. One with a Canadian company for magnetic bearing air conditioners. The company is called Smart. The other one is a Danish company for designing heating ventilation systems for warships. So these people have tried to reach the Indian market, because all these global companies will try to go where the market is. And my focus is extremely limited on naval side of the story. The ship manufacturing always moves to the cheapest labor. It started with US, UK, moved to China, then moved to Korea, then moved to, it moved to Korea, then back to China. Now it will come to us for 10 years. The next destination is probably going to be Africa. So we have 10-15 years of shipbuilding bonanza in India. So we want to make the most of it. So in the past, these foreign OEMs have not been treated well by our Indian counterparts. They have tried to steal technology, they have tried to shortchange them in smart commercial negotiations, and that's not how the things work. So we have an opportunity of only 10-year window. I can't afford to spend 5 years in innovating something. The best is we buy, we pay, we make the most use of their available technologies, proven technologies, make it available to the local defense manufacturing, the local defense system at a very cost competitive rate. And yes, companies like Kanaresas maybe help us in creating a credible connect. Because the main challenge when talking to a foreign OEM is the credibility. Why should he do business with us? What does he know about, say, XYZ private limited company in India? He needs to be given that confidence. Yes, this company is good. They have a market potential. They have a possibility of generating more revenue, and that credibility connect can definitely help MSMEs in particularly. Godrej, of course, won't need such a thing, but it will help us to acquire global talent, global technologies, deploy them in India cost effectively. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I think that would definitely be a takeaway in terms of having some kind of an action task force. Please.
One of the area that we have succeeded in this past years has been translation of research specifically from local academia and using those research into our products and solutions. So, but one thing has been challenging over there has been that we really had to search a lot, try a lot. So, if there is going to be sort of a technology bank, like one of the recent Atmanirbhar center that we have created, maybe one of the focus points over there to also create a technology bank where we can actually, many of MSMEs and even of course the right from tier 1 can take a look at those technologies available, and can be then, connected to the right people in academia who have developed their technology to various levels. Maybe some of them have done it only on a published paper level, but some of them also have worked until a POC level also.
Thank you so much. So starting off well with the international scenario and opportunities, let's now dwell into the various programs with OE. Most of us know that L&T, Tata and Bharat Forge, they are engaged in various platforms and various developments. But now let's understand from Godrej Aerospace, your views on emerging technologies, your current portfolios, and how do you perceive integration of MSMEs, and whether there is a scope where MSMEs could further invest.
Yeah, so sir, first of all, these emerging technologies. So first of all, sir, we are looking for emerging technologies, but whatever the technologies we are having, we should work on further on that to hone that technologies so that we can meet that defense requirements. So that is the first thing we as a major suppliers to these public sector companies we are looking for. For example, we are doing 5-axis machine welding, as grinding, EDM, but there is a slight difference between whatever we are doing for regular things and what we are aiming for the defense sector. So that particular things we are like to work with MSMEs and handhold them to bring that particular level. Right now, whenever I told this Godrej story, one of the pillar we must say that in our success stories is our supply partners. Whatever we have achieved with them only. And since years we are working together, and that hand-holding we want to take it further, so that in the particular established technologies we will first reach to the respectable level, then we will go for the emerging technologies. So as far as the emerging technologies we can see, now 3D printing is the most talk of the town, where this particular 3D printing is going to change the lot of scenarios. So in 3D printing, as we know that Pune, a lot of suppliers are started working, and we are also working with them. So we are not working for the products right now, but for the gauges and fixtures, we are using extensively the 3D printing technology. So with that, you also mentioned that the cluster. So benefit of the cluster, suppose few suppliers with the variant capabilities are coming together and they are forming the clusters. So that cluster can move up to the value chain. Right now, some supplier may be supplying some machining components, some might be some other areas. If they are forming the cluster, so that's that suppliers can move in the value chain, and that will be the great benefit for the other industries also.
Thank you, sir. In terms of developing industrial base, specific industrial base or clusters, would you recommend some policy framework? Do you have some suggestions, or do you see some challenges?
Sir, as you rightly mentioned about that Telangana defense corridor, I happen to be in Hyderabad, and I visited there two hubs. One is a T-Works, and other it is called T-Hub. So there I could see there was the infrastructure laid down by government in terms of prototyping, in terms of woodworking, in terms of laser cutting, in terms of other ceramic work, and the startups and MSMEs who cannot invest in that particular thing, they can go and prove their prototypes there, and they can gain the confidence, and then they can think of the investing in that particular area. In other T-Hub, I could see that the MSMEs who are not working in the manufacturing, but they are working in some other marketing or offices or some design technologies, they can go there, they can work together, they cannot afford their own office. So they are getting the subsidized area to work there, and there they are getting the exposure to meet all these OEMs also. So like that, some framework if we are defining in the Maharashtra, so that will be great benefit to all our MSME partners.
Sure. Before we move on, do you feel some specific skilling to be imparted to MSMEs?
Yeah, sir, right now, in manufacturing sectors, we majorly define 5 pillars, 4M and 1T. 4M is man, machine, material, methods, and last one is a tooling. So material in this defense sector, 90% is supplied by our public sector units. So we need now to think of material. Then machines, we can install the sophisticated machines, whatever we want that. But to run that machine, we need the skilled hands, and to design the processes, we need competent minds. So right now, some days before, I read news that the UP government is working with Tata Technologies to define the syllabus in the different ITIs which can meet the industry's requirement. So specific syllabus for the industry's requirement, and that syllabus will be defined by the industry's partners only, and the trainings whatever they want to do, they will be giving in the particular training, that ITI. Then those students who are coming out of those ITIs will be much more superior than whatever the students coming in the ordinary ITIs. But the matter doesn't stop here. When these ITI persons are coming out and those are doing apprenticeship in the various industries, so we as industries is having the responsibility to train them well when they are going out, or we are observing or they are going out. That could be the good workforce for future India.
Thank you so much. Dharmaji, could you share some views on the technology trends like cybersecurity, AI, through which you're possibly trying to position your company?
Yes, definitely. So one of the area, like you have touched upon, cyber security, that's an area today which is being dealt on need basis most of the time. So this is an area where partnership between say Indo-US partnership, for example, could be a good example, can take forward. This by the cyber security part aspect has to be also dealt in a way where we do a sort of bilateral working group. Instead of doing a simple committee based approach or a task force based approach, the bilateral working groups basically will include a lot of stakeholders, including the private players, because these many of these the cybersecurity issues, they will not know boundaries, whether they are defense or private, and these working groups will basically have a periodic exchange of information of the different threats that we see, and then those groups can really form some working task force for those particular threats and address those threats, and those problems, or the solving issues, the solutions will be then approachable and available for all those involved in the stakeholders which are there present in this working group. So this is one approach which I feel is very, very important, and AI in that is one of the areas which can be used as a tool to really identify, mark out, classify different threats which are coming in. It can be a good tool to just do a representative grouping of these threats, and then the threats can be dealt by the working group. Thank you.
Thank you. Shende sir, before I ask the question, he has had an amazing success story with possibly all odds, as we see, and that were the place where skilled labor was an issue. And I'm happy to share that he was also recognized with MCCI's award for MSME's contribution in defense sector. In fact, MCCI is the first association to have a formal awards to recognize the MSME's contribution. So question to you, Shende Sahab, is can you share the challenges, the difficulties, and it's a very niche area, refrigeration, that for naval application, the way you build up the technology, industrial base, and of course the skilled people there.
Yeah, actually, a very pointed question, and I'm glad to share the same question was asked to my wife, who is our director, by none other than the Prime Minister of this country, Mr. Narendra Modi, when they interacted in some India event in Delhi. The idea is to have an internal training, which is the best way of getting training your manpower grounds up. Another challenge we face in acquiring the worker side part of the story is very okay. We take a guy, we train him, and he continues to work. The challenge is in lateral recruitments in a place like Karad, where I am from. People don't want to come to a smaller town. So we try to solve it by having an office in Pune. To that extent, yes. And the most important thing, training in the niche technologies that we acquire from my foreign partners, we in the contract make training as an integral part of the contract. Like my magnetic bearing partner, Smart, is going to periodically conduct training for my team, even for the naval teams, as a part of our agreement. The Denmark-based firm has promised to train 4 of my engineers for 4 months in a place near Copenhagen for 4 months for free. So we can build that kind of, the whole idea is acquiring all the knowledge, disseminating into the local people, so their standard of living also rises. I have a very interesting example of one small town, village actually, in Karad, having gone healthy. The guys there don't fall sick. We could do it because one of their leaders was working in my company, where we insisted that everyone drinks a mineral water or a RO purified water. When he started deploying that in his home, he found that uske ghar mein kisi ka tabiyat kharab nahi hota hai. Rest all the homes, people have a lot of problems in the health. So the local people understood, yaar, hamara sara problem pani ka hai. So now the whole town has gone to good quality drinking water, and their health scenario has dramatically improved. This is the power of disseminating the knowledge, which we either have or we acquire through our foreign partners, and cause an overall up effect in the society. And we, as a part of being higher up in the value chain locally, benefit from such an enterprise. So training, and training. That's it.
Sunisha, just last question. Do you feel some changes to be done for the policy framework? Any suggestions from the state side? Because from the MSME perspective, because you've had so many challenges.
Yeah, state has been taking very good initiatives. One such initiative which I have shared in my interview here is Maharashtra Defense and Aerospace Venture Fund, constituted by the government of Maharashtra, managed by IDBI Capitals, has invested in a series of startups. I think we have 2 of the beneficiaries here on the dais. And that has helped MSME companies like us to really compete with the multinationals. I have always said, if I want to compete with the MNCs, I must give the comparable technology, comparable infrastructure to my team, and it needs money, very honestly. My favorite example is, if I want to send somebody to fight Ajmal Amir Kasab, say for example, late Honorable Shri Tukaram Ji Ombale, I can give him a stick or a 303. If he is having AK-47, Tukaram sir should have AK-57. So my effort is to give my team the best of the equipment, best of the software, best of the training. And that needs money, and that does not come from the bank because it does not reflect in your stock statement. So this is where a capital side investment injection by MDA-VF has helped my company a lot. I wish them more such companies are beneficiaries of this scheme. Secondly, the government policy framework in terms of facilitating infrastructure such as testing, which is a big pain for defense segment because the tests are very expensive. The tests take a lot of time because the capacities are so small, installed capacities for testing, and the Make in India has created a huge rush for testing. So the waiting times are high. When the waiting time is high, we have to go to a professional directorate and seek extensions after extensions, which does not leave a good taste. So I want that government of Maharashtra, either through funding supported by a private enterprise, create something like what we have in ARA here in Pune. A defense testing infrastructure is the need of the hour. A lot of MSMEs in this area can benefit from this.
Thank you so much. Like I mentioned, FCCI has always been a step ahead sort of an initiatives when it comes to making sure that defense procurement and technology is taken ahead in innovations initiative also. While others continue to engage with one-day events, in fact, we have gone ahead and initiated a center of excellence, and we can end with a starting point. So let's complete the circle, and I would request Varun to just explain briefly on the ACEOP or center of excellence. Then we can summarize.
What Gunesh sir said, the Atmanirbhar Center of Excellence in Pune was announced just about a month back. And we're really happy that MCCI took the lead in establishing a center like this in Pune. While you may not know much about it today, but the times ahead are exciting for a center like this. And we were very fortunate that alongside MCCI and two premier educational institutions in Pune, ISER as well as AIT, and of course from the user's perspective, we have the headquarters Southern Command, the regional technology node, and then mapping out the strategic connect as well as the international cooperation is our organization SRGF in this initiative. The idea here is very simple. A broad spectrum with a wide range of experiences is what is brought to the table by these 5 organizations which have formed this Center of Excellence. And what we want to do is start identifying, or rather I should say we've already started identifying problem areas as well as areas of innovation, and mapping out solutions as well as innovators, and looking at things even from a blue sky projects perspective, where we could look at developing the future of the defense technologies. And not just defense technologies while we are at it. Let's look at it from the perspective of developing dual use or multi-use cases. Why just stop at defense? You know, at a time where if you can develop for one area, let's develop for another one as well. And what I would like to add to all of this, based on the theme and the tone of the discussion we've had, that what today has started off as a center of excellence could actually evolve into, you know, one of these future technology training R&D parks, maybe even include testing facilities into it. Just imagine having a center like this and a park, an innovative R&D park like this, maybe hosted in the Pune district somewhere, where we could have all of this going on at one place, where maybe a second or a third year engineering student could walk in with a very solid idea and eventually walk out with a complete proof of concept just a few years down the line. The same center could even act as an incubator and an accelerator. So my note on this, based on what Gunesh sir said, would be to look at the future and to consider collaboration even in this way amongst ourselves, and to develop and nurture an ecosystem as well as the trust within it, so we could all move forward together. Just on a very quick closing note from my end, that the idea of an Atmanirbhar Bharat came about with developing indigenously. Let's add to it and say that, we'll build from Pune for the state, for the nation, and for the world. Thank you.
So just to summarize, I think a lot of takeaways for us, and the takeaways from experts who really matter.
Yeah, that's. Okay, done. Yep. The key perception, if I may not call it as a conclusion, it's my own personal perception. India as such, and Pune region very specifically, have not done 5% of justice what we could do to our technical, engineering and manufacturing capabilities. The potential is huge. Every platform that I get an opportunity to speak, I actually ask people to come and actively participate. ये डिफेंस मैन्युफैक्चरिंग की गंगा तो बहती रहेगी. आप उसमें ग्लास लेके जाओगे, आपको एक ग्लास पानी मिलेगा. आप बैरल लेके जाओगे 200 लीटर मिलेगा. टैंकर लेके जाओगे तो 5000 लीटर मिलेगा. इफ़ यू मेक अ कैनॉल बहुत ज़्यादा मिलेगा. So it's a huge opportunity to fetch the global money in India, to stop the Indian money going abroad. Absolutely dream situation for any entrepreneur to stand up and say to the world, what you can do, I can do better. Thank you.
I think Pune is the innovation hub which can integrate technology into engineering very seamlessly, and defense production needs this seamless integration. Moving ahead, of course, the initiations which are done by MCCIA and the upcoming Atmanirbhar Center will definitely help, give the impetus that we have already, are running for defense production. And I am 100% sure that in the next half a decade, we will have innovative products coming out of defense production, which would be first time in the world. Okay, so that is what my lookout is. Thank you.
As initially sir has said, we are at the 16 to 17,000 crores of exports, but it is going to be grown in multifold. And by 28-29, I read that defense production will reach 3 lakhs crores. So it is a huge opportunity in the defense sector. So whatever we want to do as an industry, as sir has rightly said, skill development, and that is a training. If we are developing our workforce to meet that particular requirement, then only we will be able to grasp the opportunity. So I will again say that we have to be ready with their trainings and skill workforce to grab the opportunity. Thank you.
नमस्कार. गुन्हे साहेबांना विचारायचं होतं, क्रायोजेनिक कूलर्स बनवता का तुम्ही? क्रायोजेनिक कूलिंग सिस्टम्स.
क्रायोजेनिक
कूलिंग सिस्टम्स.
कूलिंग सिस्टीम आम्ही फक्त गोदरेज इंजिन बनवतो. कूलिंग सिस्टीम actually this engine is an inbuilt cooling system. It is a double wall technology, and in order to cool externally, whenever the fuel is flowing inside, it is getting heated, and that chamber is cool itself, and it is again flowing to the top chamber.
नाही, मला काय म्हणायचं आहे की ग्रीन हायड्रोजन पॉलिसीमध्ये क्रायोजेनिक कूलिंग फॉर हायड्रोजन फॉर एक्सपोर्ट पर्पजसाठी गरजेचं आहे. जर तुम्ही बियॉन्ड डिफेन्स बघायचं असेल तर ग्रीन हायड्रोजनचा विचार करायला पाहिजे. याच्यामध्ये कसं आहे की खूप मोठ्या प्रमाणावर युरोपियन कंट्रीज काम करत आहेत, पण भारतामध्ये ते टेक्नॉलॉजी विकत घ्यायची आणि इम्प्लिमेंट करायची, त्याच्यापेक्षा आपण हायड्रोजन एक्सपोर्ट करायचा विचार करायला पाहिजे. आणि तो विचार करण्यासाठी क्रायोजेनिक कूलिंग फ्रॉम जसं आपण LNG इम्पोर्ट करतो परदेशातून, म्हणजे लिक्विफाईड नॅचरल गॅस, तर त्याचं -160 डिग्री टेम्परेचर असतं. तसंच क्रायोजेनिक कूलिंग ऑफ हायड्रोजन करण्यासाठी 250 मायनस पाहिजे टेम्परेचर. तर तिथं तुम्ही क्रायोजेनिक कूलर्स जर इंडियन मेड असतील तर डेफिनेटली इथं खूप मोठ्या प्रमाणावर पुणे सेक्टरमध्ये हायड्रोजन जनरेशन होऊ शकेल, आणि त्याचा बेनिफिट एक्सपोर्टसाठी आणि खूपच मोठ्या प्रमाणावर ग्रोथ होऊ शकते. कारण हायड्रोजन पॉलिसी गव्हर्नमेंटनं डिक्लेअर केलेली आहे, पण इक्विपमेंट्स अवेलेबल नाही आहेत. क्रायोजेनिक कूलर्स हे ॲक्च्युली तुम्हाला क्रायोजेनिक टेक्नॉलॉजीबद्दल बऱ्यापैकी माहीत आहे, आणि ही टेक्नॉलॉजी जर तुमच्याकडून अवेलेबल झाली तर खूपच ग्रोथ होऊ शकते याच्यात.
ॲक्च्युली मी इथे सांगू इच्छेल की propellant choice is purely the government organization's decision. आता जे क्रायोजेनिक फ्युअल इथे यूज करतायत त्याचं अल्टरनेट, ॲज यू सेड राईटली, दॅट थिंकिंग इज डेफिनेटली गोइंग ऑन दॅट लिक्विफाईड नॅचरल गॅस.
नो सर, द क्वेश्चन इज सिम्पल. गव्हर्नमेंट इन्सिस्ट करते की ग्रीन हायड्रोजन जनरेट करा.
करेक्ट.
म्हणजे इट इज नॉट प्रोपेलंट फॉर अस. कॉमन मॅनला ते सांगते की ग्रीन हायड्रोजन पॉलिसी आलेली आहे आमची मार्केटमध्ये, आणि तुम्ही इक्विपमेंट्स आणा आणि तुम्ही एक्सपोर्ट करा, किंवा भारताला एवढ्या हायड्रोजन ची गरज आहे वेगवेगळ्या सेक्टरमध्ये. पण हायड्रोजन एक्सपोर्ट करण्यासाठी क्रायोजेनिक कूलिंग इज मस्ट. हायड्रोजनचे जे लिक्विफिकेशन ऑफ हायड्रोजन इज नेसेसरी दॅट टाइम.
आय टोटली ॲग्री विथ युअर कन्सेप्ट, बट आमचा जो प्रॉडक्ट पोर्टफोलिओ आहे त्याच्यामध्ये हे सध्या बसत नाही. पण इन फ्युचर जर आम्ही काही करू शकलो याच्यामध्ये,
असा काही ॲग्रीमेंट आहे का की ते इक्विपमेंट्स डिफेन्ससाठीच वापरायचं, युद्धच करत राहायचे आणि डेव्हलपमेंट करायची नाही?
नाही, असं काही नाही.
मग तुम्ही,
पण आता आम्ही जे आहे तो बिल्ड टू प्रिंट आहेत. वी आर नॉट बिल्ड टू स्पेक. When we will be built to spec, we can think of the alternatives. Right now, we are built to print.
There is need of cryogenic coolers. Instead of cryogenic fuel.
सर एक मिनिट
ते आपलं सेशन थोडं ओव्हर रन होत आहे, सो तुम्ही ऑफलाईन हे प्रश्न त्यांच्याशी घेऊ शकता नंतर. थँक्यू.
देशामध्ये हायड्रोजनची इन्व्हेस्टमेंट खूप चालू आहे, पण त्यांचा जो स्कोप आहे त्याच्यात ते त्यांना जे स्पेसिफाय केलं
येस येस येस.
L&T किंवा खूप जण
नाही तुम्ही युद्ध करायला सांगता एवढंच ना.
हायड्रोजनची आपल्यामध्ये ऑलरेडी इन्व्हेस्टमेंट खूप आहे, खूप फोकसही आहे, पण त्यांच्या ह्याच्यात तो स्कोप वेगळा आहे.
One more thing is that cryogenic engine and cryogenic cooling, these are miles apart. Completely different topic.
Any other question? Okay, I think we conclude. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I request the dignitaries to stay on the dais, please. Thank you very much for an insightful discussion on the growing opportunities and challenges in the defense production sector. I now request Mrs. Sone and Mr. Prashant Zogolkar, Director MCCIA, to felicitate the panelists.
नंतर काढू नाही फोटो. फोटो काढू. Thank you. Thank you.
We are now moving on to the last session of the day, a very interesting session on IT and ITES, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and data science, amongst many other topics. We have an eminent panel of experts for the discussion. I invite on stage Mr. Dinanath Khorkar, Chairman IT and ITES Committee, MCCIA, Mr. Aditya Paranspe, Chairman Electronics Committee, MCCIA, and COO, Tor.io. Mr. Prashant Pansare, Founder, Intellement Technologies and Rubyscape. Mr. Abhijit Devgirikar, CEO, Copper Cloud. Ms. Sujata Tilak, Director, Ascent Intellimation Private Limited. And Ms. Suchita Dhere, expert in AI, ML, DS, and IoT-based solutions.
सुचेता पाणी आहे ते. No, I'm going to stand here. Sitting for the if you want to spread it out, let us spread it.
Good evening. Good evening. So I wanted to first of all thank all the panelists and thank MCCI for organizing this fantastic summit. It's a good privilege to have such an esteemed panel to join us. So I chair the IT and ITS committee at MCCI. I spent 34 years of my life at TCS, did various roles, and currently focusing on a few areas as part of the committee. There are 2 or 3 things which we are currently put as a charter for the committee. The first one is building of brand Pune as a IT sector hub. And it's very important to appreciate this, that when you actually look at companies which are coming to India, their first choice is always Bangalore. The marketing that happens from Telangana and some of the other states is much more higher as compared to Pune and Maharashtra. And I think that's where potentially Pune loses out on opportunity to attracting businesses, especially big ticket items, big investments that companies are making. And that's the brand Pune related activity that the chamber is taken up. The second one, we also looked at how should we help the MSMEs sector as such. And we felt that the chamber can potentially help in aggregated buying. So many of you buy software and hardware from various vendors. And we felt that the chamber can take up this activity of aggregated buying. And even if it means a 5% reduction or thereabout in your buying cost, it could potentially play a very significant role. And also, we have also been looking at how to help the MSME sector in the digital journey. There is a tremendous amount of opportunity in adopting digital to bring in productivity, to show a lot of impact in the entire ESG goals, which are reporting is very crucial, especially for some of the export sector. But the most important thing which we did just last week was launching a cyber security initiative, and it was part of the brand building for Pune. So this cyber security initiative we did together in a joint initiative along with the US Consulate General. And the objective is to build Pune city as the center of excellence for cyber security. So it's not setting up a cyber security excellence center, but building the brand of Pune, or Pune as a city as a cyber security center of excellence. This was launched just last week during the PIBS conference that MCCI organized. And we'll see a lot of things being rolled out in the near future. But what I wanted to do is, we have a diverse set of experts out here. I will start off with Sujata and first have her views, primarily because there is a large number of companies which are here, which are in the automotive sector or in the manufacturing sector. I would like to hear your views about the automation, that opportunities which are there. And that's a very large sector. We heard some huge number of such companies. So clearly there is a huge opportunity in automation and digital adoption. Sujata.
Sure. Thanks, Dina. Thanks for inviting me on this panel. So what I'm going to talk about is opportunities in automation, as well as how automation and new technologies, digital technologies can help sectors which were talked about here, like food and food processing industry or defense and so on. So basically, Pune being a hub of both IT and OT, we have IT companies as well as we have OT companies. So we have a unique combination in India of having both manufacturing and IT sector equally strong, and that is like a cross-pollination or helping each other type of ecosystem. And there is a strong automation ecosystem here. We have majors like Emerson, we have Honeywell here, primarily their main offices and setups are here. We have a strong network of system integrators and other smaller MSMEs in automation as well as IoT. Now, what these companies can do for manufacturing, right? So I will talk about that during the course of our discussion. But one thing I would like to propose here is that for adoption of new technologies by the manufacturing companies, food or defense, each sector has a different requirement, or each sector has a different level of requirement. So if some kind of a technology framework or a digital adoption framework is developed sector specific, then it becomes very easy for those companies to decide and understand what they need to do in terms of digitalization or digital transformation. Because today a big problem is a lot of companies don't understand what they need to do to become more competitive, to improve their productivity and so on. So I think this is a help which organizations like Chamber and the industries department can provide to these different sectors. So
no, very, very valid point. And I think it is also important to understand the importance of standardization, importance of creating shared services. So good thing is the Maratha Chamber of Commerce, Industries and Agriculture has created an IoT cluster. Aditya is part of it, Sudhanva is part of it, and Abhijit is part of it, this cluster. So what we have done is we have created a cluster of 25 progressive MSMEs who are looking at adopting digital technologies, and we have about 10 of the solution providers together in a cluster to see how we can actually accelerate. We are also talking to the MSME ministry in Delhi and also the government officials to see how we can actually help the entire process. So I'll turn over, Aditya, to you. You have been very much an integral part of the IoT cluster. So how have you seen the journey? We have seen all sort of, we've done a study, we have done various awareness sessions, but you have been very close to implementing some of this. And first I will have you, and then Abhijit, you can also share your point.
So a couple of observations, IoT is an emerging technology, right? And there is a lot of inherent resistance amongst most companies in adopting new technology simply because there is an uncertainty attached to it, right? Is this technology going to justify ROI? Is it going to be useful? Is my manpower trained to handle this kind of technology? So, typically, and it's not specific to IoT alone. Anytime someone wants to do something new, there is a lot of resistance. Now, what we have seen happening over the past 3 or 4 years is that there is a lot of support from regulations coming in. So if you look at any new government notification that comes in, be it around emission, be it around FAME 2 subsidies in electric mobility, be it around, CPCB4 for gensets, the requirement for data acquisition and the fact that once that equipment goes into the field, the emissions need to be tracked is becoming mandatory. Now, when we were having conversations with our customers, some of those conversations went back as far as 5 to 6 years. The moment that regulation came in, the conversation took up a speed at a totally different level. So what we are noticing is that once regulations come in to support adoption of new technologies, a lot of our customers are automatically saying that, hey, since I am doing this anyway for regulation, can I now make use of it for improving a business process, for unlocking value within the organization? And then that is creating that uptick that you're seeing today in a very big way. So regulations have a very important role to play. And as Sujata had rightly mentioned, specifically when you look at Pune, a lot of the emerging technology, there is a convergence of many fields. So, when you look at something like IoT, there is instrumentation involved, you need to have sensors, there is hardware involved where, you have edge gateways, embedded systems involved, IT, because your entire visualization is on IT, analytics, cloud management, IT services. Pune is one location where you have all these competencies under, I would say a 500 square kilometer radius, which is, I don't think anywhere else in the world such an opportunity is available. So during our conversations with, the IoT cluster as well, you can naturally see that interest coming in thanks to the availability of technology, thanks to the support of regulation, and also with the next generation taking in many businesses who are more forward thinking. So all these three things at the moment seem to be in the right place. So, going forward, we should see a much faster adoption of new technologies compared to what we have seen till date.
A very important point that Aditya brings is about regulation. So I have been, as part of the IoT cluster, I have been visiting some implementation sites where they have actually implemented solution. One of the very interesting solutions is around using IoT-based automation for energy saving. and energy saving in the parking lots. Very simple thing. If you go to any large campus, parking lots are the ones which are 24/7 lights are on. You generally don't think about the type of saving one could get. But I saw one particular site where there was about 11 lakh square feet of parking area, and the saving that they are achieved so far is about 65% of what they were consuming, potentially going down to 80% saving. Now, just the technology won't help. So I'm actually working with the Commissioner's Office and MSCDCL to see if there is an opportunity to bring in the regulation which will say, if you have a parking lot above a particular size, deploy an implementation of an IoT-based solution. It has twofold impacts. One is you clearly show you are progressive as far as carbon emissions are concerned. You will save because most of the energy is still coal-based. Same time, we give a lot of opportunities for the electronic sector because it's all about IoT and communication which is there. So some of our startups will get a huge amount of boost because we also need to create competition. It's not about just one company. We need to create much more, and Pune can lead this as a solution across India. So that's the opportunity. Abhijit, we have been discussing on this topic, and I'm sure when you go and you meet up with many of these companies in the cluster, you feel various challenges. And how have things changed? Have things changed with time? The interventions that we are bringing in. Give a perspective.
Absolutely, sir, and thanks for inviting us. And I think MCCI is definitely playing a very key role by bringing the beneficiaries as well as the producers of this set of technologies on the same platform, right? See, as you said, how has the landscape changed? I can share my experience as being part of this group, this team, which is trying to make this happen, as well as an IoT company who has been trying to deploy these solutions in MSMEs for the last 5+ years, right? So 5 years ago, the name IoT was not known by most people. Only that was a reserved word for technical people, right? And we used to knock on doors and we had to explain for 2 hours what we do. So IT is not new, but IoT is still perceived even now as relatively new. Today, when we go, people are already there. I mean, the manufacturing segment knows what is IoT in Industry 4, knows what is required to integrate it with their existing systems, knows the gaps. So 5 years ago, we had to really work with our customers. Let's identify your gaps. Today we go and the gaps are there on a list of paper that we know what we need to do. We just don't have people to help us address this. And that is one important thing where I think this new initiative from MCCI is absolutely critical. Because the gaps are known, the consumers are ready and willing to go for it, the providers are there, but they need a common platform to start getting the push, right? So that is one big change. The level of awareness and the consciousness about the value these technologies will add is there. So to be very honest, as a solution provider, I have to do very little work in outlining the value proposition. All right.
No, I think it's a very valid point. I've been visiting manufacturing setups, and one of the examples I can quote, they were manufacturing about X number of tons, throughput. And after the first phase of implementation, they have gone 1.5 times what they were doing. So business benefit is quite significant, and there's a huge amount of opportunity over there because it is the younger technology generation which is actually playing a role in these type of implementation. But let's go back, Prashant, you have been in the IT sector for a long time. You have done various roles, various organizations you have been involved with. Tell us about, you hear a lot about AI. And, there is, on one side, there is a lot of optimism. There is also on the other side, a huge amount of pessimism. Will AI take away jobs? And being in the industry, we are very clear that any new technology comes, it is the biggest opportunity for our lifetime. So tell us more about this biggest opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Dina, for that googly. But before coming to that, let me make a couple of important pointers here. We are talking about SME and MSME, but there's also a very important aspect, especially for the Pune ecosystem, that is the startups. And because the panel is on the technology side of it, what Pune is and what it is not. So let me share with you what it is not, is that it is not the largest exporter of India, from India as a state. Bangalore clearly dominates, it's double the software exports, in numbers. What it is also not is that if you take top 10 system integrators from India, almost everybody has a big setup in Pune, but Pune has never been their largest, center. So That's why Pune is also known as the, not IT services capital is Bangalore, but Pune is known for IP capital, right? And that is the reason why SMEs as well as the startups has a good potential here. And when we look at the AI, look at how industry has evolved over last few decades, right? We started with automation, or rather industrialization, then computerization, then digital, and now we are talking about AI. Now AI, whether it is the blessing or it is a curse, time will prove, but it is creating humongous amount of opportunities. And AI is horizontal. We should not look at it as a vertical, that it is a specialized domain. Technologically, it may be a vertical domain, but the application of that has to be horizontal. And if you look at what is the real next big opportunity, let me give you an example of India stack. All of us know UPI, right? UPI is one of the component of, so to say, India digital stack. It has created history. It is creating euphoria on international arena. Now with French government also deciding to adopt UPI. But understand, this is the beginning. If you look at the e-health initiative of government, it is going to be much bigger in size and for the AI than what we are talking about. So the government has set up the target that the e-health cards are supposed to be profiling, creating medical standards and profiling for the citizens, and they're aiming at a target of 100 crore citizens. Now understand what is the role of an AI. Imagine that you have 100 crore population being profiled, and what you're doing is standing in front of a robot. They're doing your, the profiling of your physiology, and maybe they're doing a retina scan. By the way, 17% of Indians under age group of 30 are visually impaired, and many of them don't even know in the rural areas, which means roughly about 25 crore of a sample of a retina scan that you can do, and imagine you feeding that into your deep learning algorithms to actually help you in doing the correct assessment, diagnosis and prognosis. Imagine out of these 100 crore, even if you take, for example, 34% of Indians are diabetic under the age group of 40. Now imagine that what is the sample that you are talking about in terms of feeding in this data. Now AI is not only the software. It is actually about how you bring in the industry expertise, technical capability, as well as creative or breakthrough thinking. Now imagine that, if I'm a retired healthcare specialist and I have been doing retina scans or X-ray scans, can I, tie up with a tech startup that is helping me in doing this using vision technology, healthcare image processing, and I'm looking at, the digital X-rays through the portable machines and bringing down the cost of X-rays to maybe 100 rupees, and consultation, e-consultation, maybe 100 rupees an intervention. Rather than carrying the medical reports to the hospitals and from the labs, imagine that it can completely change the landscape. So the point I'm making,
very valid point. Just to interrupt you, sorry to interrupt you over here. One of the startups in Pune, they have brought Ayurveda and digital together.
Yes.
And Prime Minister talked about it in Mann Ki Baat.
Yes.
Very interesting thing. We have a very large Ayurvedic community, and there are different, as part of the Ayush ministry, there are various encouragements which are being provided. But combining that with digital and making that as an offering to the market and changing the complete experience. So exactly the point that you're making, there are many such areas, and we discussed about the different businesses that were being talked about. Combination of that with digital can really position Pune and India in a different light. So
absolutely,
very, very valid point. So
absolutely.
I'll come back to you.
Yeah, just last point on that is that when we are talking about AI, it's not about software branch. And don't think of just becoming, can India become a global AI talent supplier? Yes, it can. And if you actually see, most of the companies are actually getting into that bandwagon. But AI actually goes beyond that. And I'm giving healthcare as an example because country like us need local, low-cost innovations. And AI holds that huge potential of how we can bring in these different various stakeholders and operate that as an effective ecosystem that can make this game a good success.
Thank you, Prashant. I will, you did mention about India Stack, and I will probably turn over to Sucheta. Sucheta, you have been working very closely with the government organization. You yourself been a social entrepreneur. So much amount of new technology being rolled out. Throughout the day, we have been hearing so many new apps, different systems that the government is making available for businesses. Don't you see there's a huge opportunity in that itself to help companies adopt those technologies? And plus, as Prashant mentioned, we are taking some of these Digital India products overseas. So there'll be a lot of need for providing those services to those deployments as well. So share your views on that.
Yes, thank you, Dina, for inviting me here. And a very important point to connect with Prashant. I'm a big fan of 3 R's: reduce, recycle, and reuse. So, like people like Dina and many of us, when we talk to many startups or within big organizations like Microsoft and Nokia, there are many projects. There are many things people are working on in technology which can be reused by many other people. For example, you have given the example of government projects, right? So, lot of things can be, platformized. Instead of developing for one particular organization or one particular sector, lot of these apps, lot of these technologies and solutions can be made open, which the other startups and the systems can reuse. So that is one point. Second point is for MSMEs or government, anyone. I think whenever we start or whatever stage we are in our business, I think we need to have digital transformation strategy. We see digital transformation or data science is a way of life. It's we have to think of it every time at every touch point. Sometimes we there are organizations who their core business or innovation is not in technology. For example, there might be agricultural products and other things, but then they don't think at वो बोलते कि बाद में देखेंगे. No, you need to have a digital transformation strategy and a strategist right from the beginning. You may design solutions around that later, but you need to identify all the touch points in your business where you can digitize and create data and then use that data throughout the life cycle of the project, because the benefits of the data are huge. First is scalability, second is speed, its ability to reach masses fast, personalize, customize, and another big example is customer experience. Imagine whoever, whether it's a farmer or anyone, but if you are able to, gather the data about each customer and give that customer a personalized experience, a personalized recommendation about anything, it can be very beneficial. And the last important point which I want to make is the involvement of government, how government can incentivize and encourage people to adopt technology. And adding innovation and creativity to that. Innovation means, doing things in a very different way, in a simpler way, in a low cost way, and disruptive. And that is where technology can play a very big role. We'll talk more about it, but I will hand over.
Yeah, so I will go back to one very interesting point. All of you talked about different usage of technology and things like that. Finally, the technology is getting delivered by people. And one thing which really has helped Indian IT industry has been the strength of our people, and that applies to Pune as well. So let me give you some very interesting data points. I was doing an interview of Kiran Karnik at the Asia Economic Dialogue, and we were talking about the IT industry and how it scaled up. And he said, look, the foundations of the IT industry was not that we set up a Bangalore or a Mumbai or a Chennai, but the foundation was our deep-rooted higher education system. And that is where the foundations were laid. So I think that's one key area that I will talk about. But I'll also give you a couple of other data points. We talked about the cybersecurity initiative. We didn't jump onto it just for the sake of it. The data says that there are 3.5 million, note the number, 3.5 million jobs in cybersecurity which are open today. Okay, there's huge amount of demand and not necessarily having the type of supply. 3.5 million equates to half the population of Pune metropolitan region itself. So there is huge amount of opportunity, but at the same time, I think we need to also look at the talent supply. So I'd like to have a discussion because that's also a critical element. In Maratha Chamber of Commerce, we have various of these committees, but we also have an education committee, and we should play a very crucial role in helping and take help of the government and various other institutions in enabling that. So maybe I'll start off with you, Prashant, since we talked about AI and you said about creating AI talent pool. Throw a light on how you feel we should, as an industry or as an IT sector, play a role in helping build up that talent, or any other views around the talent ecosystem in Pune district.
Absolutely. In fact, that is where Pune has edge, because it has the maximum number of good reputed engineering as well as management institutions, and we house more than 2 lakh student passing out almost every year, and that's quite a significant number. Now, AI particularly is not restricting it only to the software engineering or engineers per se, right? The applications of AI can be across the board, and that is what actually throws it even more open. When we are looking at the education ecosystem last few years, and thanks to Maratha Chambers for various initiatives where industry academia collaborations are actually creating more opportunities. Today we see a lot of students are actually coming together and they're doing multidisciplinary projects. For instance, maybe somebody from medical, electronics, software, IT, AI, ML, and then they're actually building up the use cases which are multidisciplinary in nature. And that becomes the first step towards building the startup. Now, what is important is that gone are the days where you are only doing your engineering degree and doing some software programming courses, and then there were jobs waiting, right? Look at the automation and look at the downsizing that is happening by the high-tech companies, and that is future, because automation is changing a lot of things in the landscape. But on other side, that brighter side of the automation is that digital enterprises are emerging. So for instance, if you take an example of a bank, that some jobs are getting reduced in a bank, but these are traditional jobs. But new jobs are getting created, and they are, because they are also operating now as a digital bank. So what are those, digital skills and how they can be equipped at the university level, because India also has population as its demographic advantage. It is the way we look at it, whether it is a opportunity or it is a challenge. So the new age skills are very important. So for instance, today what are some of the new jobs are prompt engineers, right? If you're working in a bank and then you are actually looking at fraud detection as an area, so you are looking at cyber security as he talked about. So can there be a prompt engineer who is actually working at the command center, and rather than he getting busy with too many systems, the system is intelligent enough to feed him back, but he knows that out of those millions of transactions that are happening, which is the one that actually needs an attention. Yeah. So what is happening is that the nature of jobs is changing, industry is changing, youth is becoming tech savvy, but they're becoming tech savvy as a consumer. They're not becoming tech savvy as a creator of new ideas which can lead to an opportunity. But in that sense, Pune has quite a big advantage, because there is a good amount of student capacity base that we have in Pune. And also it is that way quite forward thinking city in terms of providing the cutting edge education and industrial tie-ups. So net, if you actually see that Pune has age in terms of building that large scale of capacity which is required for these futuristic technology initiatives by industry.
So I'll like to add one very interesting data point. When you look at IT sector, the first thing and what people think about is some of the large IT companies like a TCS, Infosys and things like that. But if you actually look at what has really happened, there has also been a lot of product companies which are based in Pune, which are building state-of-the-art product. Maybe they are US companies, Israeli companies, India-based companies. There is a lot of work which is happening in GCCs. There are many companies which have their IT back offices set up in Pune, and they are growing in large numbers. And Prashant in the morning talked about one of such companies which he and Amit had helped in taking a decision. Another thing which is, there is a lot of automotive companies. Their IT and their embedded systems teams are also getting scaled up. I know one of the French companies is setting up a shop primarily on their engineering side, but they realize there's so much amount of talent on embedded systems and all the automation side of it that they decided to scale up that faster. Okay, so Abhijit, I know you come with that background. I know you are very passionate about that particular area. So, like you and Sujata and Aditya, also to give a perspective on that area.
Absolutely, thanks, sir. So first, I would like to address the question about how can people like us contribute to the very fast and dynamic education sector. And I want to give two very specific, concrete examples what everybody in this room can do. Right, few years ago, through the NEP, the government has laid out lots and lots of very beneficial frameworks, and those frameworks work as long as we are good about implementing them. One thing each of us can do is, if you are an owner of an SME, you can partner with education institutions and carry out vocational programs. Many of those vocational programs are being given the same status as BTech or BE, starting off as of 6 months ago. Right, so we are ourselves partnering with two such agencies, and we are conducting 40% of their on-the-job training programs. This helps both ways, because we get we get to create a talented pool of students from scratch. And if we can't employ the people we have trained, then what are we good at, right? Yeah. So that is one place everybody here can contribute. If you are not part of an organization, you want to contribute in an individual capacity. 2 years ago, the government has introduced a role called Professor of Practice. And every educational institution across the country can hire up to 20% of their faculty from the industry as a part-time. So if you have a passion for teaching, for education, the next generation of technologists, without being part of academia, you are valued in this very important dimension.
No, very valid point. I've been visiting some of these academic institutions, and many of them are not necessarily exposed to the MSME sector. Except the fact that they have friends in those companies, they have been their alumnus, that's all. There's a limited connect. But I think it is an opportunity for the industry. As you rightly said, NEP also has provided various mechanisms, so definitely a very important thing.
About the scale up, I would like to add one more point. So some of our junior students, people who are 10 years, 15 years junior to us, who have passed out 3-4 years ago. I'll give one example. Now this BE electronics student got into passionate about robotics, started building what are called AGVs, autonomous guided vehicles, did that in the 3rd year and 4th year project, got some kind of incubation funding and built it as a product. And then, since this person did not have a professional experience, he became a consultant for an Israeli firm who builds robotics. After 3 years, he is helping them scale up in India. Mm-hmm. So I think what we see is a very small start. One person acting as a professor of practice teaching robotics, and one of their students out of 500 students building a company that partners with Israel in robotics. It's very hard to see it as it happens. But when you look at it in hindsight, there's a direct cause and effect that we can relate. And to your question about France and EU scaling up, this is how everybody can help scale up. And large companies can do far more.
So very interesting point. When we look at IT as a sector, one of the things which is very important is language. And I just want to call out this because I've been on the board of studies of a few colleges, and I've been giving this feedback. We have such a large German presence out here, close to about 350 German companies. If you look at putting the entire of Europe together, about 500 such companies. But we need to look at how do we bring in proficiency in foreign languages in some of our sectors, so that AI plus the core curriculum plus a language can also make a difference. Sujata, over to you on this front. You have worked with many of the automation giants, and you missed out Siemens, by the way. They have a very large presence. They do. We have Rockwell Automation, so I've been interacting with quite a lot of them. And they are very keen to build up a large talent. The Dassault system is here. So you have pretty much the who's who of automation in Pune, apart from the ones which you named. But is there a roadmap? Is there a process? Is there a mechanism to get a large number of talent pool created, which can potentially scale up that entire sector?
Yeah. So this is a very critical topic, and if India is growing at a very fast pace, and if we have to become a 5 trillion economy, we need people in all areas. I mean, as much as we need IT, as much as we need cybersecurity and AI, we need automation engineers, we need mechanical, electrical, refrigeration, and all kinds of engineers. So it has to be a balanced growth, I feel, and the correct way to target is, I feel we have to start from the high school students, high school, 11th and 12th. That is the age group where we have to make them aware of all these different opportunities and possibilities, because today what happens is everybody knows IT, right? And due to peer pressure, due to the knowledge that in IT you can go to US, you earn huge salary from day one and all those things, everybody wants to go into IT, whether they like it or they don't like it. So it's not about what you like, what is your passion, it is about this sells, and hence I'm going to go there. But we have to tell them that there are many other avenues, many other areas where also all these things are possible. You know, you can earn well, you can do excellent work and all that. So I work for a organization called as, it's a voluntary organization, International Society of Automation. And we have colleges affiliated to us having student chapters. So just 2 days ago, I was in VIT. They recently did a one-day exhibition of automation technology, sensor and automation technologies for school students. So they got kids from 9th to 12th standard to visit those exhibition, and they told them about, you know, what are the opportunities, what are the technologies and all that. So I think this needs to start happening more and more, because we directly target the students who are already into engineering. So they have kind of made their decision as to what field they want to be. And most of them are in some field, but they go for a job in IT. So this has to somehow get balanced, and we have to have people opting for all kinds of technologies as far as the engineering and technology sector is concerned. So Maratha Chamber and organizations like that, even the Maharashtra government can, I have seen in Brazil, as I part of ISA executive board, I meet people from all across the world. So in Brazil, they have a program wherein 11th and 12th, or that age group, they introduce all kinds of technologies to them. And then the student can make an informed decision as to this is what I like and this is what I would like to do in my career. So something like that needs to happen in India as well.
Okay. Aditya.
Sure. So the biggest problem in many of these emerging technologies, right? If you look at something like IoT, or even we touched upon, you know, cyber security requirements for IoT is such a, I would say, niche topic that it is very difficult to find talent in the market with relevant experience. Right. So, you know, when we look at recruiting people, we typically look at, you know, people who have worked in adjacent fields. So, you know, if you want to recruit someone, let's say in IoT, you look at someone who has worked in automation and, you know, try to force fit him in that profile, giving him some developmental responsibility. And we have been doing that for a very long time. And we found that the results sometimes was good, sometimes bad. I mean, a whole lot of variance in terms of the ability of that person to perform and ramp up, you know, as per the requirements of that emerging technology. A couple of years ago, we said, hey, instead of doing that, why not reach out to some of the local colleges within Pune and see if you are able to, you know, get fresh graduate engineer trainees and see if there is any difference in how fast these trainees ramp up compared to people with experience. And, you know, we were pleasantly surprised that the quality of engineers available in local Pune colleges was so good. And this goes contrary to everything that you've been reading around, that, you know, generic quality of people. And we are not even talking about the IITs, or we are not even talking about, you know, the top colleges in Pune. We are talking about maybe the second tier colleges in Pune. The quality was so good, and then, you know, we were trying to introspect as to, I mean, what was this? I mean, it's a pleasant surprise. How did this happen? The realization was that today, the youth has a lot of energy. Access to information is no longer a problem. So, you know, if I have to do a project, I have access to Udemy, I have access to Amazon, I have access to all the resources that are available in the world. And if I want to do something, I will be able to do that. So, you know, the fundamental outlet for the inherent energy that a person has is resulting into this whole new crop of engineers that can hit the ground running, you know, from day one. So that realization has now changed in terms of how we recruit people. So we are now gung-ho on recruiting fresh engineers. You know, they ramp up within 6 months compared to, you know, people from the lateral, when you hire, it taking them 2 years, 3 years. So it's in fact going to be a challenge for people with, you know, 5 to 6 years of work experience. Yeah, how am I going to compete with freshers who are able to ramp up that fast? So, you know, it was a pleasant surprise for us. And, you know, it's just to put this additional point into perspective that, you know, oftentimes we say that the education quality and system in India is pretty bad, and, you know, our engineers are unemployable. Our personal experience has been quite the contrary.
So very interesting. Last July, I had taken Dr. Mashelkar on a trip in the Bay Area, and we visited Tesla. I'm sure many of you know Tesla. The person who runs the Tesla factory at Fremont is a 2010 graduate from COEP. So you can imagine that that's the level of, and yet there are a lot of other, it was not just the COEP graduate, we met quite a few other engineers. It's possible that since it was a Pune connection, only the Pune guys were interacting with us, but there were people from many of the other colleges from Pune who are part of the core engineering team. So definitely that's a talent. I will conclude with one important point, and that's what Sucheta and I have been regularly interacting with. Women in the workforce. And Sucheta has been very actively involved with women in data science and machine learning. And we've been interacting with women professional bodies who are focused in different areas, women in engineering, women in data science, women in data, and various other areas. And we see there is a huge potential that is potentially there to be tapped. In fact, as part of the cybersecurity initiative, one of the companies in Pune came to us and said that they want to look at talent which is returning back from a career break, and whether you guys can create a program to train them on cybersecurity. So share your views, Sucheta, and this is an important area to ensure that we get the right talent.
Yeah, I think one important part of talent creation and management is, women. So there is a research that around 3 million women in India are sitting at home. They are highly educated, Bs, MEs, MBAs, and they have taken break due to marriage, motherhood, and elderly care. They want to come back, but they face challenges. They have lost touch with the industry. They need a platform. They need, technology is changing very fast, so they need to reskill and upskill. Some of them are still looking for remote, part-time, or freelancing roles, which they can, do at their pace. And we need to see if such roles can be created. And that is one area where, startups, so one is capacity building, helping them, reskill and upskill with very core, technologies and hands-on programs. And some of our observations are that they skill very fast because they are senior, they have prior experience. What they need is a platform, exposure, and opportunity, to prove themselves. And second is where, this marriage can happen is I have seen in startups, because many times, there are some niche roles which are very expensive and startups cannot afford them. So that is where, for example, chief security officer or some places where you need to do strategy or some specific, deliverables or things need to be created. So these are small jobs. Startups don't need to have that C-level person throughout, and it is expensive also.
No, very important. I actually referred one of my classmates. She had taken a break because her mother as well as her relatives were going through health challenges, so she needed to be at home. She took a break from one of the corporates, and then she wanted to get back. And I was talking to one of the startups, and he was challenged with the need for a very experienced program manager. And he didn't want the program manager throughout, but he wanted some real expertise. And I said, why don't you talk to her? And now she is working with them. And it's a fantastic combination. Somebody with corporate experience, working in the startup wanting to scale up. So very well said, that's really an opportunity that one needs to tap into. I know, Abhijit, you want to add on to this?
May I reinforce 100% what Sucheta
So tomorrow is International Women's Day, so you can talk a little bit more on this topic.
Fantastic. I would like to completely. I would like to completely agree with Sucheta ma'am, and we also as a startup, startups have to de-risk a lot because the workload may be seasonal, right? So sometimes we need 20 people, sometimes we need just 5. So people in my boat who are bootstrap startups who don't have external funding, we like to keep roughly 40 to 50% team on a permanent role, and other 50% we want people who can work part-time in flexible roles, who have worked in the industry before. So it's not just about the budget, it's also about, I don't positively want somebody working 40 hours a week, right? And people can work from home, people can, set their own schedule. And if we have coming with some experience, that's like a bonus or boon to us. So do reach out if you know such people and make contact with startups like ours.
Yeah, I think it's a very valid point, and we should definitely publicize this particular element. And I think we should take the lead in ensuring that given that there is a lot of steps that Maratha Chamber has already taken, we have a center of excellence for women entrepreneurs. Maybe you should have a center of excellence for part-time women employment as an agency or whatever publication of such people. So Sujata, I know you have been waiting.
A very, very relevant point and very, very required point. So there is a huge talent which is sitting there and which is not being used. And yes, we need to create a platform where they can work flexible hours and or full time if they want and can get back into the industry. So one of the things which I want to make the point is a lot of times these women themselves are not sure whether they will be able to cope up when they go back to the corporate world or to the even to the startups and so on. So there needs to be some programs where you build that confidence in them, you know, that yes, whatever was your knowledge, even though the technology has changed, but the core things don't change, they remain, and you can quickly ramp up and become you know, current in whatever is happening today in the technology and can, so this confidence building has to be done, because a lot of them don't come forward because they think now they can't really go back and can contribute. So I think that's a very crucial thing to do in this particular aspect.
At one point, so in Microsoft, there is an induction program for such people, even for freshers. They are, you know, in a circuit training, they are looped into 12 departments or 12 months. And then at the end of the 1 year, they can decide which job they like and they can choose from that. But there are very good success stories of, you know, women who, we have a community called Women in Machine Learning. There are 50 success stories we have published, where even after 10 years break, they have successfully joined Capgemini, Accenture. There is a story of a woman who is a BA, and now she is a data scientist, and she has her own entrepreneur, own startup. There are success stories of HR transitioning into
very
data
important
science
point.
roles.
One of my colleagues, he is now working for another firm, but they were in Saudi Arabia, and he has actually built their first Gen AI product, which is being launched as part of their organization. So the important point is about looking at other streams which are also there and making them IT enabled. Usage of AI in them, in their day-to-day life will be very useful. So
Startup in Bangalore called Half Day Someone. So they have created a pool of 35 different professions, not necessarily IT, but you can, and they have a tie-up with, so for example, if I want to become a bartender, so they have tie-up with 1,000 restaurants. You can go and do a half a day or 1 day bartender's job and feel how it is like. Do you really like it?
Yeah.
So I think we should create such things for IT professionals also, that go experience, understand how this, you know, what are the day-to-day activities of this, you know, profession or role. So that itself can be a startup.
Yeah, very important point. You know, I have been associated with TCS for so long, 6.5 lakh employees that we have in the organization. When I moved to Pune in 96, we had just 300 people. And when I moved out of TCS, we were just over 60,000 people in Pune. And myself and our center head, we were actually looking at how much employment have we created. So when you look at one IT professional, okay, the type of support system that they create and the jobs that they create, you can easily multiply it by 4 at a minimum. And jobs which are there, housing, automobile industry depends a lot on these consumers. And we heard a lot of food products. Many of these people go overseas, come back, want the same type of products over here. There is tremendous amount of opportunity. So I think the industry does have a huge amount of opportunity to creating jobs in general in the sector. So again, I think it's been a wonderful session with all of you, a very diverse view.
Just one point, because tomorrow it's International Women's Day. There is a research published by McKinsey where they say that one working woman creates 2.5 more jobs at the bottom, because when a woman works, she employs driver, she employs cook, she employs maid, she goes to the creche. So that is how it, you know, improves the economy and the GDP also. So it is very, very important to encourage women into work at whatever level, at whatever, you know, pace. But that's a very, very important talent, you know, unused.
So I think overall on this session, I would like to conclude with 2 very important points. One is the foundational elements and the fundamentals which the industry has been built on, has to be becoming much more stronger, but at the same time, it has to be very agile. We heard this point multiple times that changes are coming in fast, we need to readjust. On the other end of the spectrum, I think it's very important for us to look at how do we build brand Pune and ensure that the world knows about what we are and what are the type of things which are there. We'll definitely require support from the industry as well as the government to help us in amplifying that brand. And initiatives like what we are doing, cybersecurity is just one of them. Just to give you a sense of how that initiative got amplified, we had the US Consul General with us for about 4 hours. We did the launch. We did a roundtable with all US companies, which we invited. And then we did a roundtable with women entrepreneurs who wanted to export their products to the US. At the end of the day, US Consul General tweeted about this event. They had a press release. In the next 24 hours, we had about 25 articles amplifying the initiative and calling it out as a very strategic one in the context of India-US relationship. So straight away, with that investment, we were able to make that type of impact. And I look forward to all your support to get more such initiatives. And thank you again to the entire panel, and thanks MCCI for giving us this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the audience?
For creating a brand Pune, what is more important? What is more important is having a semiconductor complex here at or nearby Pune of about 10,000 acres at least. That will make brand Pune automatically. Thank you.
No, absolutely. So it's a good point, and it is being discussed. Aditya, Ajit Dada, we have had various discussions. I have been in touch with a lot of people. We'll get there somewhere, someday, I think. But I think let's look at what is under our control and where we are, and let's at least amplify. Let's at least companies which are coming to India to set up their IT setup out here, at least they should look at Pune as the preferred destination, as against it is not happening in Bangalore, hence come to Pune. We at least want them to first look at Pune as a destination.
Just to add, Dr. Sunil Kulkarni, he has an experienced individual in all this. He had established 3 STPIs across the country, and with help of Aditya and MCCI and few other things, we have been working on that semiconductor mission for Pune personally. And in recent discussions which was held in MCCI with State Cabinet Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar, he has indicated that there is going to be a huge investment in and around Pune, but we have to see how it happens. We are keeping an eye on that, and Dr. Sunil Kulkarni is helping in probably collecting the right data points and seeing how we can do that. Thank you.
So something very interesting, we had the Asia Economic Dialogue, and we had one of the execs from the National Security Advisor, and they were talking about critical and emerging technologies, an important element. So one of the things that she mentioned, and we should look at such opportunities. So electronics or chip making as an industry requires neon gas. And neon gas prices have gone up 10 times because of the Ukraine war, because largely being sourced from Ukraine. So she actually gave this problem to look at in the Pune context, because Pune has such a large establishment of research, especially NCL, ICER, Venture Center. So we should always look at that we want to get into the house. Let's always not wait for the door to open. Let's look at other windows from where we can get in. So I would like to urge Pune as a city that we should look at these opportunities as opportunities to as door openers, but definitely there are great opportunities, and I definitely will look forward to interactions on this particular topic. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Mccia and I represent my company Data Nears. So as Sujata madam was talking initially when the session began about the industry specific solutions. Now what my understanding has been that these are two different worlds, say the IT world, the technology world, and the manufacturing or the MSME industries, and both are working in the silos. And what I have personally seen is that there is a lot of ignorance about say a problem statement which say manufacturing company might be undergoing, and they might not be even aware that this problem can be solved and there is a ready solution available in the IT industry. And the guys here are looking for a market where actually they can sell their solutions. So perhaps MCCIA can be a catalyst in that sense, where there is a problem which is to be solved and there is a solution which is already existing, and probably bringing it together. I don't know what is the mechanism it can be implemented with, but I think that would help both the sectors.
Very important point. Thank you for that question. So I spent about 35 years or so working with very large corporations. So these are all Fortune 1000, Fortune 2000 companies. So last 3-4 months, I have been learning a lot about these issues which are there, and we've been providing feedback on what we can do to address this. So when we did the roundtable with some of these larger companies, for them, the MSMEs are not the market, right? But there are expertise, like Abhijit mentioned about professors of practice, for example. Can they come in and play a role? Can they do projects? You will be surprised, there are so many PhDs sitting in the industry, but they are not providing guidance to people who are doing PhDs. So one of our colleagues actually has come up with this entire, creating a database of people who are PhDs, but in industry can provide guidance to new research initiatives. So some of these things are very important to address, and I think it's a very valid point. Let us have those discussions. Many of these. So good thing is that both industry as well as academia, as well as the startup industry, is very well aware that there are opportunities like these. And Pune, I would say, is a very good ecosystem, very well connected, and organizations like MCCI, events like these play a very crucial role in making certain things happen. So definitely taken your point, and we will...
Just to add, see, when it comes to functionality, right, so from a technical world or from an IT world, people would not be aware about the functional workflows of a manufacturing industry. And that's where perhaps a common ground can be found, where the solution can be met with for a problem statement, a solution can be created.
Yeah. So, if I can add to what you are saying, you are absolutely right that the manufacturing workflows in every industry are different, right? What food industry needs versus what water will need versus what electronics and defense, it's all different. But still, for each sector, that's what I was saying in the beginning, for each sector, if we create a technology framework for these new technologies, where considering or understanding their requirements, understanding how they work, if we identify a solution, which is, you can say it's a starting solution, right? And that starting solution gets deployed very quickly. They start seeing the returns, because today one of the problems with the newer technologies like IoT, AI, etc., is what is the return on investment? Nobody is sure of it, and nobody is sure when it will come. And second is the complexity of implementation. Everybody wants different things, and then the solution providers struggle to provide those, and then it all goes through the roof, cost goes up, time is extended, and so on. So if we have this ready to go technology frameworks, and for a specific sector, and then they can be deployed really quickly. You tell me, given the order, tomorrow it can be deployed, that kind of thing, then that will be helpful as a starting point, and later on it can scale the way individual industry is capable of, and their requirements, etc. But the starting has to be really painless and quick. That is very required for all these new technologies.
Yeah, and that's,
I
think there is a
one
gap
thing
there.
to your question, Anil. So what you refer, in our world we call it a marketplace, that people say I want this, and the other people say I have this. Correct. That's what you want, right? So the thing is, and again, as Sujata ma'am said, those things exist, but they exist in a very sector specific manner. If you go to any trade expo, you will see at least one chap there who says, I am running a marketplace. So they are essentially, in other words, brokerage, you can say. They are the people who connect consumers with producers. But there is I have not seen a universal, marketplace such as that. One reason being that there are a lot of people claiming to provide a lot of other services. But when the consumer actually reaches out, many times they say कि तुम जो लिखा था वो तो तुम कर नहीं रहे. So that is a challenge, right? And if there's a centralized, certifying body like MCCI who says, yeah, I've seen this solution and I can certify it for the rubber manufacturers or the auto fasteners manufacturers, then that trust element comes in. So those things exist. It's not a very organized way, which probably somebody can take up
Yeah,
initiative.
so just to add on to that, since you mentioned about the marketplace, that's one of the discussions we have been having. As the industry is changing, as the ecosystem is changing, how can we make the chamber a digital chamber? So hopefully, some of your inputs can play a role, though it's not a focus for us in this year because we have our task cut out. But we can take inputs like these, which are there, which are coming up from members as well as solution providers. Definitely, it will be a good idea. So I'll running out of time. Please, we can wrap up.
Thank you very much. I thank the panel for such an interesting discussion. I would now like to invite on stage Mrs. Vrishali Sone to give the vote of thanks. 1 minute. Before that, let's felicitate the guests.
Thank you.
डायरेक्टर ऑफ इंडस्ट्रीज आणि MCCI यांच्या कोऑर्डिनेशनने आज आपली ही डिस्ट्रिक्ट इन्व्हेस्टर समिट आज इथं संपन्न होत आहे. आजच्या या आपल्या डिस्ट्रिक्ट इन्व्हेस्टर समिटमध्ये प्राथमिकतः मॅग्नेटिक महाराष्ट्र हा इव्हेंट जो आहे तो जूनमध्ये होणार आहे आणि त्याची पूर्वतयारी म्हणून आपण प्रत्येक जिल्ह्यामध्ये या 8 दिवसामध्ये महाराष्ट्राच्या पूर्ण 36 जिल्ह्यामध्ये हा डिस्ट्रिक्ट इन्व्हेस्टर समिट हा सगळीकडेच कार्यक्रम आयोजित केलेला आहे. आज सकाळच्या सेशनमध्ये आपली साधारण सकाळी 10 वाजेपासूनची सुरुवात आहे आणि सकाळच्या सेशनमध्ये ऑनरेबल डिव्हिजनल कमिशनर पुलकुंडवार सरांनी आपल्या या कार्यक्रमाचं उद्घाटन केलं. वेळात वेळ काढून कलेक्टर सरांनी सुद्धा डॉक्टर दिवसे सर हे देखील तिथे होते. यामध्ये आपल्या साधारण 72 युनिट्सचे साधारण 16,550 करोडची इन्व्हेस्टमेंट आपल्या इतके MOU केले गेले. प्रायमा फेसी 15 MOUंना आपण तिथे सन्मानित करण्यात आलं. तर आज हे जे 20 स्टॉल आहेत तर त्याचंही एक्झिबिशन इथे होतं. तर सगळ्यात मध्ये आभार प्रदर्शनामध्ये सगळ्यात पहिले आभार व्यक्त करताना आज MOU होल्डर इथे आलेले होते, सगळ्यात पहिले त्यांचे आभार. त्यानंतर जे गव्हर्नमेंटच्या ज्या एजन्सीज होत्या ज्यामध्ये उमेश पाटील जॉईंट डायरेक्टर बॉयलर मैत्री हे खास मुंबईहून इथे आले आणि त्यांनी आपल्याला मैत्री सेलबद्दल माहिती दिली, त्यांचे आभार. त्यानंतर संतोष पटणी सर डेप्युटी एक्झिक्युटिव्ह इंजिनियर पुणे MSDCL, वरुण सिंग DGFT पुणे यांचे सुद्धा यांनी वेळात वेळ काढून आपल्याला इथे DGFTची एक्सपोर्टची माहिती दिली, त्याबद्दल त्यांचेही आभार. त्यानंतर आपले फूड सेशन आणि ॲग्रिकल्चरमध्ये डॉक्टर अनंत चौरिया सर इथे ऑनलाईन उपस्थित होते आणि त्यांनी फूड इंडस्ट्रीजमधल्या आपल्याला त्याबाबत आपल्याला माहिती दिली, त्याबद्दल अपॉर्च्युनिटीज सांगितल्या. त्यानंतर रोहन उर्सर सर यांचे सुद्धा पुन्हा एकदा आभार. त्यानंतर डिफेन्स सेक्टरमध्ये हर्षद गणे सर, नरेंद्र देवरे सर, धर्मेंद्र गालिया सर, वरुण खंडारे सर आणि शेंडे सर यांनी सुद्धा आपल्याला डिफेन्स सेक्टरच्या अपॉर्च्युनिटीज आपल्याला सगळ्यांना सांगितल्यात, त्याबद्दल त्यांचेही आभार. ITSमध्ये आपल्याला शेवटच्या सेशनमध्ये दीनानाथ खोळकर सर, आदित्य परांजपे सर, त्यानंतर सुजाता टिळक मॅडम, सुचिता दिरे सर यांनी आपल्याला ITS डेटा सायन्सच्या अपॉर्च्युनिटीजबद्दल माहिती दिली, त्याबद्दल त्यांचेही आभार.
सकाळपासून आज आपल्या या जिल्ह्यामध्ये आपल्या 12 तालुक्यांचे सगळे असोसिएशनही सकाळपासून उपस्थित होते, त्यांचेही आभार. लांबून आपण सर्वजण इथे उपस्थित राहिलात आणि सकाळपासून हे सेशन अगदी शांततेत आपण सगळ्यांनी ऐकून घेतलं, त्याबद्दल आपल्या सगळ्यांचंही आभार. पुन्हा एकदा मी जिल्हा उद्योग केंद्राच्या वतीनं आपल्या सगळ्यांचे आभार मानते आणि सगळ्यात लास्ट बट नॉट लिस्ट MCCI ज्यांनी आपल्याला या इव्हेंटसोबत कॉर्डिनेशन केलं, प्रेसिडेंट गजबे सर, खोपडीकर सर आणि त्यांची टीम यांचेही पुन्हा एकदा आभार मानते आणि आजचा हा आपला कार्यक्रम संपला असं मी जाहीर करते. थँक्यू व्हेरी मच.
Thank you very much. One last important announcement. Please join us for tea and coffee outside at the same place you had breakfast in the morning. Thank you.